Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Drift.
The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from the realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from an undisclosed location somewhere in the deep and mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. Live from Forest Tower Studios. Brought to you by The Fringe FM. This is Lighting the Void. And now, your host, Joe Root.
Broadcasting all the way from Forest Tower Studios in the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. It's good to be back. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. Voices for verity in this crazy realm of polarity. Good evening. It is Monday, July the 9th, and the night is picture perfect here as the moon is in its waning crescent. In this hour, the moon, I think we just transitioned again. So make sure you do this, though. Fire up your chakras, sync both hemispheres of your brain together, and shoot your magical beam of light through your third eye tonight with us as we peer into the void. We got a new call-in number. That call-in number is 1-800-588-0335, 1-800-588-0335. We are live on lightingthevoid.com, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM, TalkStream Live, TuneIn, Spreaker, all those wonderful places that we're always live on the network. So make sure that you check that out. The Fringe FM also has an app, and we're also on Radio Garden. So there's a number of places you can listen to and this show, and thank God for TalkStream Live, right? Because even if you lose your internet, you can always call to listen line over at TalkStream Live, which is 701-719-3971. Tonight, on the launch of the new time for this program from theblackvault.com, John Greenewald. Are you ready? I'm stoked about this. And then tomorrow night, we're going to have Thomas Seaweed on. Wednesday night, we're going to have Dark Waters. And then Thursday, I think we're going to kind of do like a free-for-all type thing. I don't know. I got some guests coming on. We'll open up the phone lines and stuff. And the cool thing about the new phones is there's a queue there. So if we got two callers that come in at once, there won't be any more hanging up on you. So you'll just wait in the queue until the phone gets picked up. I want to say thank you all to you who have donated to the show. I love each and every one of you. And a special thanks to, I can't really say your name because you told me not to, but you know who you are. Thank you so much. I do have something for you guys that, real quick, I just want to get this out there. I don't want to pound you with this stuff, but for those that can't donate, but you want to be able to get something, like you don't have any money to donate, but you want to help, well, we've hooked up with one of my favorite people in the world, which is Audible. So if you go to audibletrial.com/LTV radio, that's right, you're going to get a free 30-day trial of Audible. So there you go. Doesn't cost you anything. You can hook right up to it, and you help us out. So, and I'm working on more stuff like that, like an Amazon portal as well. And we got T-shirts, too. I want to thank Dennis for helping me get those out because we've sold a few. But there is a reason why I wanted to get John Greenewald on the program. So you know that we ended the last season, we could say the first season of Lighting the Void with Tim Doyle from UFO Seekers because I believe in the kind of work he's doing. And I wanted to try to launch the new show with somebody of equal or better value. And I'm not trying to put anybody down, but when it comes to real researchers, they're not a dime a dozen out there, right? So John Greenewald from the blackvault.com. I couldn't have asked for a better person to come on the program for this new launch. So you guys, I mean, if you're a researcher or you claim to be one and you don't know you don't know what the Black Vault is about, then you should check it out for real. 'Cause it even intimidates me when I go to it. I'm like, just a plethora of information. I can't say enough about it. New social media followers. If I butcher your name, I'm so sorry. Congant Minktum, Charles Navarre, Lisa Swanson, Kip Luttrell, Mandy Thompson, Jenna Muir, Kimberly Watt, Pat Walker, and Robert Burnstill. Thank you so much for following us. And don't forget you can sign up to the Void Walkers newsletter. And if you did get the newsletter, then you know what to do tonight, right? So if you got that, I got some stuff for you there, but it's free to sign up at the website. Just go to lightingthevoid.com. Follow, like, subscribe. Everything is Lighting the Void. All right? So, this show is going to be adapting as we go along, too, just to kind of let you know. I really needed more than a week to get ready, but I don't like taking breaks. I don't like taking off or leaving the radio show for any reason. So a week wasn't really enough to get ready, but we are going to be adding segments and new stuff in here, and we really want your feedback on these things. So we're going to try to give you one hell of a roller coaster ride. I want to thank my team, Eric Markham, Jeremy Scott, and all those few insiders who help me every day. I want to thank you all so much. And don't forget the hashtag is LTV Radio. All right, so we're going to jump right into this. We're going to bring on our guest, John Greenewald from theblackvault.com. In 1996, John Greenewald Jr. began researching the secret inner workings of the United States government at the young age of 15. He targeted such groups as the CIA, FBI, Pentagon, Air Force, Army, Navy, NSA, DIA, and countless others. Now, Greenewald utilizes the Freedom of Information Act to gain access to thousands of records. He accumulated an astonishing number of documents on topics related to UFOs, the JFK Assassination, chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons, and top-secret aircraft. As time elapsed, and Greenewald's online archive became globally known as the Black Vault, his teenage project turned into the largest private online collection anywhere in the world, totaling nearly 1.5 million pages of material. At the age of 21, Greenewald published his first book, Beyond UFO Secrecy, in 2002. It was later put into a second expanded edition and was republished in January of 2008. Now, if you are into reading articles, you will know that Stanton Friedman just said that, he loves Kathleen Martin, the niece of the allegedly abducted Betty and Barney Hill, which is another author and lecturer that will carry on his work. But Friedman said his first choice would be John Greenewald, who runs the Black Vault, because he is, quote, a sharp young man with plenty of data. This was quoted by Stanton Friedman himself on the Roswell Daily Record. You can check it all out at theblackvault.com. The show notes will be there as well. John, thank you so much for coming on Lighting the Void, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I got to tell you, like I told you when I was off air, when I went to the website, and I've been there a few times, when you're asking me, hey man, do you got anything, you want to talk about, I love to talk about anything that's on your mind. I was intimidated. I'm like, what am I gonna say to this guy? What am I gonna say to this guy that he hasn't already studied? And I'm just very, very impressed with it, man. I can't believe anyone hasn't checked it out. If you guys hadn't checked it out, you need to go to theblackvault.com. But realistically, though, and I'm sure you've answered this question before, how many people are tagging that website a day, you think?
Yeah, it's about 15, depending upon the news coverage, because I'll get articles, publish articles referencing documents that I publish and so on. But on average, about 15,000 people a day, but it'll spike to 25 to 50,000 literally every day. Those are unique users, people sitting down, logging in on their phone, on their tablets, and so on. So that's how many unique viewers. I never dreamt it would get that big, to be blatantly honest with you. I started it 21 plus years ago, like you said, when I was 15 years old, and here I am, ages later, and it's grown beyond what I ever thought it would.
That's incredible, man. And you started this at 15 years old. Man, when I was 15 years old, all I was doing was playing football and chasing girls. I didn't even think about this stuff, man. Like, and I know that, that's been brought up, that you were young when you started this, but what really inspired you to start? Was it a person? Was it an event that happened in your life that got you going down this road?
I wish I had a better story other than what got me interested was curiosity. And I, like anybody, was, even back in 1996 when I started, I was looking for real information, something that, wasn't he said, she said, or leaked documents or whatever. Like, I wanted the real thing. And back in 96, I mean, not to age myself, but Google really wasn't even a thing yet. I mean, now we say, well, Google that or Google this. At the time, it was a search engine called Alta Vista. And I remember searching Alta Vista for UFO-related websites. And even back then, you would come up with hundreds of thousands. Now it's like, 100 million pages that literally spit out of Google's search engine. And I just was curious. I wanted to know what was out there, and I started looking around, and you see kind of the same story over and over, rehashed, and even back then, again, now it's a different beast. The internet is completely different than what it was in '96. But back then, you would still see these kind of same unsubstantiated stories and claims and so on. So with that curiosity, I thought, well, how am I going to get the real stuff? Like, what is real? What do we believe? What do we don't believe? And who do you believe? And that was the big one for me. And I came across a website that talked about a government document. And it was a 4-page document. It was considered, a pretty important record in the field of ufology. It's known as the 1976 Iran incident. And this document's been around for quite some time and written about in quite a few different books and so on. And I read this, and as a 15-year-old kid, there was no way that I felt that this thing was real. And so my curiosity got the best of me, and reading on, I read this thing, thought it was fake. But this website said, hey, if you don't believe that this document is real, you can use this thing called the Freedom of Information Act. So I thought to myself, well, I have no idea what the heck that even is, but sure, if the government's going to send it to me, because the website said, if you don't believe this, send off this letter, put your name and address, and the government will send it to you. And the rest is history. I did send that letter off, and the Defense Intelligence Agency was the government agency at the time that had this particular document. And sure enough, about 4 weeks go by, and they sent me that document, and it was 100% real. And I was hooked from there on out. So I didn't have an experience, going back to your question. I didn't have a UFO sighting. There wasn't an abduction or anything like that. That motivates a lot of people. Not me. I haven't had either. I was just curious and went online and found one reference to a government record. And so when I got it in the mail and realized it was real, I raced back on the internet and thought, all right, let's see what else we can find. And there wasn't anything. And in 1996, the government wasn't really posting a whole lot of stuff, and many websites were not posting anything like this. I mean, this particular website had a few things, the 1976 Iran incident document being one of them, but it just didn't exist. I mean, there wasn't a website that had an archived, declassified document, stuff that you could not argue with. And so I built it, and that's how I got started. And here we are 21 plus years later. And just a minor correction to your introduction, I'm actually over 2 million pages now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Of declassified documents. And it's grown beyond something I ever dreamt of. But it's fueled simply by curiosity. So I wish I had a better experience to tell you, but that's my fuel.
2 million pages of documents. Have you looked at you hadn't really looked at every one of these things, have you? I mean, I'm just curious. That's a lot of documents.
Yeah, no, and it really is. Yes, I wouldn't say that I've studied all 2 million,
right.
But putting them online and programming them online, yeah, I gotta go through them. I gotta make sure the PDF files load and work. I've got to scan those documents, or if I get them electronically, I do conversions and stuff like that to make it easy and easy for people to download and use as a viable resource. And the reason I say that very quickly is the government is notorious for releasing information that is not really the best way to release the information. And I think there's a tactic in that, and I'll give you a prime example with the recent releases of the JFK assassination material. And I was big on these documents, obviously. I mean, I've researched the JFK assassination before, but I'm using this as an example because they released hundreds of thousands of pages of documents. They released them electronically. The problem is they didn't what's called OCR, and not to be a tech geek, but it stands for optical character recognition. And simply put in plain English, when you create a PDF document, you need to make it searchable, right? I mean, that's kind of the logical thing to do.
Right.
Sadly, the government did not do that. They released all these documents, but they were useless from a standpoint of research, that you couldn't search through them. And so I built a full search engine with the hundreds of thousands of pages they released after I converted all of the documents and made it easier for people to access and to search. So I think there's a little bit of a tactic with the government in that they do not do this in the quote-unquote right way to make it easy for everybody. And so that's one of my aims. And so, yeah, the 2 million pages, again, although I can't recite them all and haven't studied every character, I've looked through quite a few of those, if not the majority of them, just to make sure, if nothing else, that they're functioning correctly. And when I put them online, it's something that's usable by the masses.
What do you think the most shocking document that you can remember that you got that really blew your hair back, that you was like, wow, I can't believe they gave me this type of thing?
UFO related or out of everything?
Everything.
It's that's a tough one to answer out of everything, because it depends on my mood, on what interests me the most, because I go back and forth on what my biggest interest is. I mean, the MK Ultra and the mind control documents are way up there on the top of the list for me. They're one of the most popular collections that are downloaded. I was one of the first people ever to put them online. The CIA had released them many years ago, but you couldn't find any of them. And so when I requested them, this is probably going back, I would say maybe 15 years, literally. I had requested the documents, paid for them, got them, scanned the ones that were physical, and then converted the ones that were electronic, because I received both, and dumped them all on the internet and created indexes and so on and so forth. Those, to me, when you look at the mind control experiments on what the CIA really did, and when you look at the fact that they were doing experiments that really weren't even authorized by the upper echelon of the CIA, meaning the CIA director didn't necessarily approve everything, it resulted in the death of one of the top CIA scientists. When you look at that and you see that people were dying from experimentation and literally the testing of LSD and hypnosis on their very own. The CIA did this on their very own people, just to see the effects and to see what kind of mind control techniques they could utilize on their own people. When you look at those documents, it's mind-blowing to see that the government is capable of doing some really awful things. And the mind control experiments are just one. I mean, the biological weapon experiments that they did against people's knowledge, most people would probably have heard of the Tuskegee experiments and so on, but it goes so much deeper than that. And there were a lot more experimentation done, where there was one particular project called Project Shad. And what they did was they took a biological agent that they claim would not cause any death or create a huge problem, and they put it onto a naval vessel and got it into the air system, because they wanted to see how vulnerable the naval vessel was to a biological attack from a terrorist. And they did these things. No one on the boat knew that they were going to do it, but they undertook this experiment, got the biological agent inside the air ducts and system, and the way a ship works, the way that they funnel air through and out and around the ship, they were able to get it in that, and it spread throughout, and a lot of naval officers and naval personnel on the ship got sick, a lot of stomach problems and so on. So those types of experiments for me are just mind-blowing, that the military and the government would do such things. And we don't hear about them often. We hear a couple buzzwords here and there, But really, that's the tip of the iceberg of what really is out there. So I know I didn't go the UFO route to answer you, but again, it really does show the magnitude of what they can do.
That's definitely what, if it were me, that's what I would say too, because these were the types of things that I really just couldn't believe. Like, I can't believe that they would do these things. And now I get laughed at for saying that, right? But really, you know, in my adolescence, if someone told me about chemtrails, MK Ultra, mind control experiments by the government, you know, I would say, man, you're cuckoo. There's no way that they would do that to us. And those are the things that would really make me think that as well, you know. But you said you've never had any events that's happened to you. So you've done all this research. You know all this stuff is happening, but you've never seen a UFO or had any type of, I guess we could say, paranormal or weird experience?
No, not when it comes to UFOs. The way you worded your question, though, in the interest of openness here, I did have a very odd experience, more of a ghost nature, which I'm fairly skeptical about all that stuff, but I can't deny what happened to my wife and I while we were on a trip to the Whaley House. But when it comes to UFOs and those types of experiences, because that's obviously what the Black Vault is known for more than any other topic that I have, I've never had those types of experiences, sadly. I haven't seen anything in the sky. I again, am very much a skeptic. I hate the S word, but, you know, I'm very skeptical about some of this stuff, and it does take a lot to impress me when it comes to these types of cases. But sadly, I've never experienced a UFO sighting myself.
But there's tons of files about all this stuff too, you know. And I even find myself a skeptic. My biggest skepticism is cryptos, you know, Dogman, Bigfoot, this type of thing, right? But there's apparently there's some files on your website about it. There's also, which another thing I really love about the Black Vault is where you show hoaxes, right? So you're like, okay, this was a hoax. And that's important. I mean, I don't think we're doing that enough, to be honest with you.
No, we're not. And this day and age, I think we need to, and we shouldn't be afraid to do some critical thinking and logic. I mean, my big thing when I do public lectures and stuff like that, it's one of my favorite things to do, is I really push the whole logic and common sense. And sadly, in this day and age, a lot of people are not thinking about these types of cases logically and with common sense. Many people out there will like and share and forward and tweet out and all that good stuff of cases that are so blatantly fake. It's laughable, and yet people are buying these things and forwarding them out there. And let me be the first to tell you, the true UFO cases that have evidence that are unknown, there are enough out there to prove there is something behind this phenomenon, right?
Right.
There's also enough documentation out there, not 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 pages, but literally thousands of UFO-related documents, pages of documents from the military and the government in the United States that prove that there is something to this phenomenon. That is enough. We don't need to make up stuff or buy into like the newest, you know, crazy CGI wannabe UFO video that I see happen all the time. We don't need that. We just have to look at the real evidence, think critically, use some common sense, and we will get somewhere with this evidence. I mean, I truly believe that. Sadly, though, the internet has changed that a bit. I'm a big advocate for the internet, but I'm also fairly outspoken that it's hurting the field also. And I say that just simply because, again, people are out there that they see a thumbnail or they see that image that pops up when somebody shares a link. And I actually, you know, see this all the time where I will post something and explain that, let's say it's a hoax or something like that. And you kind of get two types of people that, 3 types, I should say. One, which is the majority, people respect the information, respect the research, and those are the people I try and hit. The other 2, however, you'll have one that doesn't even read that I said it was a hoax, and they'll start, you know, throwing cuss words at me. How should you share that? How could you share this? You lost reputation. This is a total hoax, this, that, and the other thing. But it shows that they never read it. And then you have the other side, which people will share it out and go, look, this is, you know, proof. How could you deny this, that, and the other thing? But they never read that I was able to prove that it was a hoax. So you've got a lot of the lack of critical thinking when it comes to reading this, and people are just fascinated by pictures. And I wouldn't say it's the majority. I don't want to insult anybody here, but you do have a lot of people that are out there that sadly hurt the field by doing that and giving that CGI video that's clearly, a hoaxed video. It gives them 20 million views. And I see it happen all the time.
Yeah,
so
I'm
one
a victim
of
of it too, brother. I click on those things, but I get upset when I see what they are. You got me with the thumbnail and the title, but then here comes the CGI, and you're like, come on, man. I get it.
Yeah, but see, I give you credit, though. You will actually click through and then think about it, right? It's not bad that you clicked on it. That's not a big deal. But if you were to flip it around and say, hey, this is proof, but you never, then looked into it and thought critically, then, of course, that's being a victim to that kind of stuff. But if you're, thinking about it logically, I give you props because a lot of people don't do that. And there was a April Fool's kind of social experiment, and I think they did it on April 1st, but it was like they showed this thumbnail or that image that pops up when you create a link, and they kind of made a very nondescript summary of what the document was. When you clicked on it, it explained that it was a social, a social experiment. Don't like it, don't share it. Just follow the rules and see how many people do and how many people comment just on the headline and just on the image. And the thing had thousands of people that were commenting and writing about it because nobody bothered to look into it and look at the information within, that it was all just a social experiment. And it was easy to figure that part out. All you had to do was click on the link and actually look at it. But the social experiment part was showing how people just don't read anymore. They don't look at what's in front of them. They look at the pretty picture and then forward it around. So not to go on a big rant there, but I mean, that's the part that's hurting the field, where again, we really need to kind of sit down, think critically, and not be afraid to point out the hoaxes and the hoaxers. And that's one of the things that I do with the blackvault.com is this huge case file section where I invite witnesses. And if anybody's listening, not to do a shameless plug, but I've assembled a team of people that look at cases that come in, even if you don't have videos or photos, but if you do, the more the better. The idea is to have investigators look at cases and really kind of dissect them and think logically. And so that's why I created a home for all of these cases. And with all the good ones, sadly, you get the bad ones too. And you get people that are hoaxing. And we even had one that I was fooled by it. And sadly, I hate to admit it, but I was at first glance, a UFO that was seen, captured when this guy was taking a photograph of the moon with a pretty advanced telescope lens. So he was able to get a beautiful shot of the moon. And there was like this somewhat saucer-shaped craft in front of the moon. And it wasn't so good that you go, come on, that's ridiculously fake. But it wasn't so blurry and out of focus that you go, come on, that really is worth nothing. It was somewhere in between. And so we got a hold of the original photos, and he tried to pass this thing off. And we did this extensive analysis, and there was one investigator on this team that I assembled that really went into the nitty-gritty and figured out it was a hoax. And I actually fought the idea that the guy was hoaxing because I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. And then the nail in the coffin came with some technical mumbo-jumbo, which I won't bore you with. But the idea is that people try and get away with this stuff. And if we don't sit down and get prepared for that, then we're going to get duped, and then that's where the field kind of suffers, that nobody takes the real evidence seriously because we're drowning the field with all of this, hoax and CGI material. So that's going back to what you said. I mean, that's one of the big aims that I have for that section, that I want people to be able to report their stuff, but also this team of investigators that really kind of, dig in and try and figure out answers and see where we come out in the end.
Right. I'm with you. It's important. And it's good. We need to know what the real truth is here, not just talk about everything and all the cool stuff and, want to see what that's about. Like, bask in the real truth, because it's probably pretty interesting. And I think you're doing great work, John. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, John Greenewald's going to stay with us. We're going to talk about some maybe Project Stargate, a little bit of To the Stars. Who knows? We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Talk radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Reverend John M. Polk from johnpolkmedia.com, and you can listen to my show, The Quantum Hologram Matrix, every Thursday night. ETs, UFOs, metaphysics, the paranormal, and more are some of the many topics we will cover on The Quantum Hologram Matrix. Make sure you bring your higher concentric multidimensional selves. That's every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on The Fringe FM.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at naturesyouth.com. naturesyouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com.
You asked for it. We listened. Changes are coming to the Fringe FM. Hear the Paranormal Code with Rich Giordano live Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, starting July 9th.
July 9th, we're going to be going 4 nights a week on the Fringe FM.
Followed by Lighting the Void with me, Joe Roop, live at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Then, stay up with us in the early morning hours for some of the best paranormal and alternative programming around. The truth is out there, and so are we. The Fringe FM.
Do you find yourself bored and longing to learn more about the mysteries and conspiracies behind our reality, specifically every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific? What a coincidence, because that's exactly when me, Gigi, and my lovely co-host Cortana kicked over the airways with just the right amount of intellectual stimulation to give you that eargasm of conversational excellence that you deserve. So be sure to check out our show, Shift Happens, every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific, that's 9 to 11 Central. And let's shake some talk radio tail feather, shall we? Right here on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Also, John has got a new radio show, The Black Vault Radio. You can catch it on YouTube and Stitcher, and it's a really cool show. I'm glad that you started doing that because I'm definitely going to check out each episode now because, I mean, you talk about somebody that's a plethora of information, man. There's a ton of subjects you got to talk about there, so it's so cool to hear that you got a radio show now.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of brand new, but I've already posted a couple shows online and had Stan Friedman on there, and it was fitting for me to have him in episode number 1. And just a very quick story. When you asked me earlier, was there anybody that kind of motivated me to do this? Although my main drive when I started the Black Vault was just the curiosity part, when I really did start diving in and getting documents and stuff, I told this story on the air with Stanton, but very quickly I wrote pretty much every big name in ufology in 1996. And, I was just a 15-year-old kid. I mean, who cares, to be honest with you? But I forwarded, letters and introductions and just tried to meet everybody I could. And I won't throw anybody under the bus, but I will mention Stanton was on that list, and there were quite a few people. He was the only one that wrote me back, and it really is a testament to who he is. And so it was fitting for me to have him as the first guest on this new radio program, but also Frank Kimbler I just had on and talked about his experience with the government and how they kind of latched on and learned he was out there collecting samples and actually actually collected real samples that were coming up with some pretty amazing results on a scientific level. They were tipped off. The Bureau of Land Management was tipped off about his research and reached out and made him appear, and by their request to bring the samples from allegedly the Roswell craft, whether or not they really are or not, that's still being determined. But they demanded to see him, and Frank ended up showing up and didn't bring the samples with him, but he did show up on his own. So I interviewed him about that. Amazing story. It was a lot of fun for me to kind of dissect what exactly happened with that meeting. So that's kind of the aim for the radio show, and I appreciate you plugging it because it is something I'm excited about and trying to do something a little bit different with it.
Oh, yeah. Because the thing about it is people want to listen to radio for information, the facts, right? We want to get down to the bottom of it. And, to know that you got one now is really cool because there's probably not much you're not going to be able to reference, man. You know what I mean? So that's really great that you're doing that. I appreciate that. I want to ask you a question that's kind of, I'm sure it's redundant to you by now, but let's say I wanted to get something from, the Freedom of Information Act, and I actually wanted to get a document from them. What kind of obstacles am I going to go through here, man?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it because I am a big advocate for people using the Freedom of Information Act. Before I answer it, let me quickly say the Freedom of Information Act works, and that after 8,500 plus requests over 21 years, I can tell you that you can get amazing results. So I really do advocate for anybody out there that wants to do research to look into it because you can find some amazing things. Now, to your question, how you do it, honestly, it is a lot of trial and error. I hate to say it that way, but it really is. When I first started at 15, I had no idea what the FOIA was, let alone how to file a request and how to go after certain information. So I just tried it, and you just try things and see what works. The biggest challenge, I would say, is figuring out exactly what you're looking for. And that could just be a project name, that could be a particular person, but you really have to kind of hone in on what you want, what type of topics you want to look into or that person. The second part of that challenge, though, is then figuring out where to request it from. Because every agency has a different objective and agenda and a different direction with how they operate. And so, some requests are fairly obvious. If you're researching a United States Air Force project, that's pretty obvious you're going to go to the United States Air Force. But other times it's not so easy, depending upon what type of things that you choose to investigate. And so a lot of times you just have to kind of sit down and figure out logically where that information might be. And other times it is that trial and error where you go, well, I'm not sure if the CIA would have anything on this, but let's try it, and you fire off that FOIA request and see what they have. So that's really the biggest part of it. The other big challenge, more than anything else, is patience. And it's not a by-the-book thing or a legal thing. It literally is good old-fashioned patience. And the government will play a lot of games, and they will really try, in my opinion, it's a tactic, they will try and make you give up. And many years ago, in the first year or two of my research, I'll be honest with you, I wanted to give up. You know, there was a lot of other things that I was still a teenager and still did the same things that any troublemaking teenager would do. But in the same respect, there was a lot of challenges that came along with attacking the FBI and CIA and NSA for records via the Freedom of Information Act. So I wanted to give up because you don't get things overnight. You know, when you request it on a Monday, it's not on your desk by Friday. And I've waited my record. This isn't too common, but my record is over 14 and a half years for one document to come.
Good grief.
Now, really think about that for a second on how long 14 and a half years is. When I filed the request, I did not have the same record keeping as I do now, meaning, I've created my own internal databases where I keep track literally of every FOIA request that I have sent out. And I've got well over 6,000 entries or 6,000 requests in this database. I didn't start doing it until I was about 2,500 requests in. So I had been doing it for quite a long time, but I never expected that it would go on for like decades. So I regret not starting it sooner, but I didn't know that that's what my life would turn out to be. So I didn't really start that type of precise record keeping. But that being said, 14 and a half years is a heck of a long time to wait for a document to come.
Absolutely.
And so patience is a big one. And my biggest advice to anybody other than to use the FOIA and give it a shot, because you might be surprised. But my biggest advice is don't give up. And the reason, what really drilled this home for me was not only the results that I was getting, but I received a email from somebody that was inside the Pentagon. And this was probably been doing this for 22 years. So I would say this was a good 16 years ago. So I was, 4 or 5 years in-ish. And this person wrote me. They introduced themselves via email. Was not an official email address. And so I kind of challenged well, how can I know that this is so-and-so? And they told me about FOIA requests that only myself and this particular agency in the Pentagon would know about. And so that was enough evidence for me. And in their letter, they said, I recently retired from my work in the Pentagon for this particular agency. And the reason why I quit was the bureaucracy and the laziness of this particular agency and personnel within it. And this person said, when we first started getting letters from you, everybody got a kick out of it because here was this 15-year-old kid requesting records under the FOIA. But you didn't take the standard responses that we gave you, and you kept pushing, and you kept pushing. And he said, I really got a kick out of that. However, everyone else did not. And they would roll their eyes every time a letter came in from you. And they said, that's why I left, and that's why I retired. And I know I said he, it was a guy, but regardless, he said, that's why I left this agency. And he said, keep at it. He said, keep at it, kid, was his actual, a quote that he said in this. And he said, don't give up. He says, because that's what they want you to do. And even though I had kind of known that from the years that I had been doing, I was only, again, 4 or 5 years into filing FOIA requests, but it really drilled home the other side of it. This person didn't write me under an official channel, but he proved beyond any shadow of a doubt who he was. There was no way that he would peg letters that only the Pentagon and myself would know about without actually, working for that particular agency and receiving my letters.
What was the document about, if you don't mind me asking?
Are you going back to the 14-and-a-half-year one?
Right.
Yeah, this was actually nothing really of note of anything of interest, but it was a declassified document on some weapon systems. And I mean, it makes sense that stuff like that is sensitive and would remain classified. Or if it was declassified, it might take a little bit of time for review, but not 14 and a half years. So the document itself, again, was not mind-blowing, like, oh my God, I waited 14 and a half years for this. That particular case, it was all about how long I had to wait for that thing to actually come out.
They were trying to get you to give up, like you said, right?
I think so. Yeah, and I don't really have any doubts about that. I mean, I think that they want people like me to go away, and I don't. And I keep asking for information. I keep requesting, and I'm currently finishing up a book I'm excited about, not to do another shameless plug. But in this book, I surround it around what I call the company line. And that's exactly what they try and give you, the company line, where they want you to believe X, Y, and Z, and that's it. Don't ask about X, Y, Z. Don't push about X, Y, Z. You believe what we say about it and move on. And so what I do in this book is really take that company line, and this is what they want you to believe, and I completely destroy it using only the evidence that they gave me. I don't use anything else. I don't use testimony, whistleblower stuff, leaked information, nothing. I take the company line and what they want you to believe about UFOs, and then I take the actual documents that they gave me about UFOs and completely blow away their company line. And so that my whole point with that is leading into the patience, where don't take that first answer that they give you and give up, because generally that either is not the whole truth, and it definitely cannot be the end, because there is so much more to find. And even after 20 years, I mean, I still found UFO documents that I had never found before in the last year and a half. And so again, if I gave up and I didn't do this anymore, they would win, and those documents would have never been discovered before. And they actually had never been released before, ever. And I received documents from the United States Forest Service, if you can believe that, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, or the NRC. And so, and both agencies had UFO documents, and they released them to me in the last about year and a half or so, I think, is when I received them. So I'm never ever bored, because there is stuff that comes out of nowhere. And the moment I think I'm done and I've tapped out, let's say UFOs or whatever it is, something new pops up, and, that spawns 10, 15, 25 other requests, and then I'll just keep going at it. Right. So the long-winded way of saying my biggest advice is just keep that patience and persevere and keep pushing.
Now, there's a question from the chat room from Dennis that he wants to know, what does John think about some of the weird stuff that's supposedly happening in Antarctica? Do these documents give us any hints about this stuff?
Well, yeah, and if you're talking about the naval exercise where it was like the biggest assembly of naval ships going down to Antarctica towards the late 1940s, I kind of assume that that's where he's going with that. We did a show on a series called Unsealed, and it was all about this, and there was a lot of rumors that Adolf Hitler was not dead. We had only the Soviets' word for it that he was dead, that he had survived, and he had hopped in a U-boat, and he was off the coast of Antarctica. Now, I discovered a letter that, as far as I know, had never been out before. This goes back about, I would say, close to 17, 18 years ago, and I received a stack of documents from the United States Army. And don't worry, I'm going to tie in your user's question on this. But I received this declassified letter that was handwritten in German. It was from one of Hitler's high-up staffs, written in 1947. And I also received the official translation by the United States Army. And to summarize it, this guy said Hitler was alive and well. He was in a specially designed U-boat off the coast of Antarctica.
What?
They did receive the hard water to achieve a nuclear warhead. We know that the Nazis were, quote unquote, never able to do that. The hard water was the biggest thing that they couldn't do. That they were able to do it. They had special, again, he was on a specially designed U-boat. They had V2 silos strategically placed with these nuclear warheads. He was going to fire on the eastern seaboard, because according to this letter, he could hit it. England, different parts of Europe, and the Soviet Union, and his finger was on the button ready to fire. Now, it's an amazing letter, right? I mean, because this isn't something that was a hoax on the internet. I mean, this was written in 1947. This is all a documented thing obtained under the FOIA. So I filed, requests everywhere for more information on it. And I'm not sure what's scary. Number one, the existence of the letter, or number two, it does not appear that the Army or any intelligence agency took it seriously at all. However, you do have that biggest naval exercise that went down to Antarctica roughly at about the same time frame for, quote unquote, an exercise. Now, the public reason for this assembly of naval weapons and ships and so on was to see how the equipment would operate in those temperatures down there. Now, of course, the conspiracy is, well, maybe there's some truth to this letter, that this naval exercise was not that they were going down there to figure out, well, is Hitler here or not? So I'm not sure if that's exactly what the root of that question was, but whenever I hear Antarctica and is there a connection to, a conspiracy or cover-up or so on, I instantly think of that letter, because that really has evidence behind it, and it makes sense. And so I've got a lot of the declassified documents on that operation. You can definitely go online and download all of those. And again, the cover story, if it is a cover story, was that it was just an exercise, but obviously there's a lot more to that.
Well, that's still pretty incredible, man. I mean, in your opinion, though, John, what do you think? And I was going to ask you what's frustrated you the most, but I think that you've kind of answered that now, unless I'm wrong, about how long you've got to wait and the runaround on some of the stuff that you've got. But what's the biggest, we're speculating here based on this information, but what's the biggest lie or hidden agenda you think that's going on based on your research?
If I look at everything that I've ever dealt with, and if you name the government secret, I've probably done FOIA requests about it, I would say the UFO topic is the biggest cover-up that I've seen, to be honest with you. I can get documents. I've already talked a little bit about mind control, but I can get documents on mind control and these biological experiments on humans without their knowledge. I can get documents about the, insides of a nuclear weapon. I can get documents about mistakes where the United States actually lost or damaged a nuclear weapon on U.S. soil that almost detonated. All of those really scary types of documents I can get easier than I can UFO-related information. Why is that? UFOs are supposedly explained, and they researched it during Project Blue Book, Sign and Grudge from 1947 to 69. And their company line is that they claim, hey, we looked into this, and there's absolutely nothing to the topic. UFOs are explainable. They're not a threat to national security, so stop asking questions. And yet when you look at that information and you look at the documents, you realize, number one, it didn't stop in 1969. Number two, it is a threat to national security, and it's actually a really big threat to national security.
Right.
But number three, they will not pry loose some of this information when it comes to UFOs. And I don't understand that. And that is without having an experience, because again, I don't have that great story that a lot of people have that motivated them to get into this field. That is my motivation, because they are lying through their teeth, not because I'm trying to tell you a story, but because the documentation proves it. And I tried for years to stay away from such a kind of a strongly worded statement saying the government's lying to you, but there's no other way around it. And the reason is because the documents actually show they're lying. So why is it about UFOs that they can't talk about? What is it? Why are they doing it? And so out of everything, I go back to my roots on why I started using the FOIA, and I think that it is definitely provable that the UFO topic, whatever it is one of the most highly classified and highly elusive secrets that the U.S. government and military holds.
Well, when To the Stars came out, I immediately I'll just be honest with you, I was excited about it. I thought, as far as historically goes, we can say that this was something that happened history in the realm of disclosure. I wouldn't call it total disclosure or even soft disclosure at that, but it's historical. But at the same time, what does it seem like to you now? Does it seem like a ruse? Almost like a red herring sometimes. I think almost like it's a distraction. But you've got tons of information on this that stands and needs to be corrected. You know, I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one for me. And I'll start off with, I think it is an amazing story. I do believe that the project exists, or existed, I should say, past tense. The revelation about it when they alluded to it, and they meaning to the Stars Academy, alluded to it in October, I was really intrigued by it, because here was a man talking about leading it, and they were doing UFO research. I mean, that's awesome. And then in December, when the New York Times and Politico story broke, and then, you know, it was just this avalanche of media exposure, when all of that came to be, I was really excited and impressed, and I thought that might be the start of something really interesting. Whenever, though, you put into that great story, which again it is, and it does, even to this day, I'm excited to learn more about the project. Sadly, it's going to take a while, but I think, you know, there might be something there. But whenever you couple that with a drive to raise $50 million, and you've got people that say, give me your money, we're going to build a warp drive, or we're going to make movies, or, you know, whatever it is, and in this case, all of the above, that's a red flag for me, because now you have potentially motivation to embellish. And when you have that motivation to embellish, now what do we believe and what do we not believe? So that was one of my original red flags. And so what I started doing was filing FOIA requests to various agencies based on the trickling of information that was come out. That was also another red flag for me, because if you have information and it's not classified, which according to them it isn't, then you should be able to talk about it. And I'm not a big advocate for the spoon feeding. And so that was another kind of red flag. But I started filing FOIA requests. And instead of just waiting for the FOIA request to come in, I literally picked up the phone. I work as a producer for the History Channel, Discovery Channel, and I'm freelance, so I bounce around from gig to gig, and it depends on, you know, what particular project it is. But, you know, I have a resume where I can show, look, this is the work that I've done for 8 or 10 years. And the reason I bring that up is that I have worked with the PR office on some of these agencies before, and so I called the PR office at the Pentagon. I was working on, and still am, on a project that this could definitely fit into. So I led off with that and said, look, this is what I'm doing. This is the project. And, you know, I wanted to ask about this particular program. And according to the New York Times, it was the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP. I didn't know it was pronounced ATIP at the time, but that's the acronym, AATIP. And so this person at the PR office, they corrected me over the telephone. They're like, oh, no, you mean the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, not aerospace. And I said, well, it's being reported in the media, and in fact, like worldwide, that's the word. And she goes, no, that's not it. It's ATIP, and it's aviation. Now, that may seem like I'm playing semantics, but in reality, that actually is a pretty big red flag. And the reason is because, and I challenged myself. I went back, did I mishear it, so on and so forth. They were touting the incorrect project name. Now, again, some might say that's semantics, but in my mind, you know, if Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who worked with Project Blue Book, if he came out of the military and said, I've been working for Project Red Book, wouldn't you think that was a little bit weird that he didn't have the project right? To me, it's the same thing.
Well, there's two things I don't understand about this, John. Number one is, like you said earlier, and I'm sorry I stepped on you there, but number one is like...
That's okay.
Okay, so if the program ended in 2012, it was determined that there were other high-priority issues, right, like they talk about here, that merited funding, and it was in the best interest of them to make a change or whatever. How can you say that anything that could be otherworldly is not a high priority? I talked to Stephen Bassett about this. It still doesn't make sense to me. It would be a huge threat. And for them to say, well, we just don't, even shutting it down to me doesn't make sense. And the whole black budget thing where you talk about, on your website that this, they're calling it black budget money, which is probably never true. We probably paid for all this. Makes me think that it's more, like I say, a ruse, something to, and a lot of people don't like this word, man, but something to push the mob back, the UFO field mob back, and say, okay, here it is. We're doing something. Are you happy? Now leave us alone. You see what I mean?
Right. I don't disagree at all. And after researching quite a few of these red flags and coming up with more, I mean, you could do 2 hours, just on the research that I've kind of put forward trying to authenticate a lot of this stuff. I think there's enough red flags to now doubt what really was this program and what is the intent talking about it. Because the incorrect name was just kind of the tip of the iceberg. As I started working with the PR office more, I learned that there was quite a few other inaccuracies that were being reported. And I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I found myself in viral media stories that literally went global, worldwide, that were wrong. And, facts were incorrect that I never stated, and yet it made it seem like I did. Now, I was able to correct that, and I was very outspoken about stuff like that. I call it copy and paste journalism, and we see it all the time. And what I mean by that is, newspaper X will run a story, and then newspapers A, B, and C, they all run the same thing. They just put it in their own words, but they don't reach out to the root of the story to double check, triple check, figure out what the facts are, and make sure that newspaper X got it right in the first place. And I think that that's possibly what happened here, and benefit of the doubt. And I tried for months to talk to the PR person for To the Stars Academy, and I waited for the major media to die down. I know that I'm not a CNN or Fox News or whatever interviews they did do. I know I'm not that, and that's fine. But I'm an investigator and a researcher, and I know that I could bring them a lot of good press, meaning if they were addressing some of these red flags, we could get some answers. And after months of going back and forth with the PR officer there, PR agent, I should say, she said after a couple months, she said, no, sorry, I'm not going to be able to arrange an interview with you, with Mr. Elizondo, who I was trying to speak with. And I offered to do it in whatever medium, email, recorded interview, video. I would fly to him, whatever was convenient, I would do it. Right. So, there was no way of saying, well, look, man, you asked for a 6-hour interview on camera. He just doesn't want to do it. No, I was very open with whatever time frame he could give me. And they won't do it. Now, why is that? I don't know. I'm not trying to talk bad about them. It's an open invitation, and I hope one of them listens, or if somebody's listening and they have a contact there, write them a letter. Say to answer some of these red flags. And if the answer is as easy as the government's lying to you, John, I'll take it, because they've done it before. I just can't find the motivation for them to lie about some of these red flags, one of them being, the name of the program. So, look, I want answers. It's an exciting time right now in the field of ufology, but there are just too many red flags about this whole thing that stand out to me. And I think what's ultimately going to happen is when documentation does come out, I think it's going to show, this is my guess, I think it's going to show that ATIP was not the UFO investigation that we think it is. Maybe they saw some UFOs or that got intertwined in, some of their cases. But I think it's going to come out that it was not what we have been led to believe. And what happens next? The people that have kind of bought into this story will say that the government is just simply covering it up and they fabricated the evidence. Whether or not they really would do that or did do that, I don't know. But I can just tell you that now the water is so muddy, I don't think we'll ever get a viable answer. It's going to be he said, she said. And in the end, we're sadly not going to be farther than we were last October. We're just going to have the same questions.
UFOs are real. That's what they're telling us. And I agree with you on that totally. It is frustrating. We're going to be back with John Greenewald from theblackvault.com. Make sure you visit the website, theblackvault.com. And you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with John Greenewald after these words.
theendofthedrive.com. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Hi folks, CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You called it out, and now we're answering. All new live programming, 5 nights a week. Always remember, the Fringe FM is for you, the listener, and we appreciate your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm. Call the station at 501-777-5631 or send us a message on Facebook at The Fringe FM.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Duquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
Hi folks, let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply, and of course the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shifthead.
Some of the new music we got some new artists here on the network. This is Lighting the Void Radio. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We are live on the Fringe FM. We are here with John Greenewald from the blackvault.com and also host of Black Vault Radio, which is a new show he's got out, and we're talking about we were talking about To the Stars, but where I kind of want to go with this is a little bit down the esoteric road. I know there's a lot of files and a lot of information out there, John, about UFOs, To the Stars Academy, just basic stuff that needs to... Man, there's a ton of stuff, actually. I mean, I even researched the Bill Cooper investigation, because Bill Cooper is a hero of mine, a radio hero of mine that, I think was murdered, but that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to slander the police department, but so I really got into the investigation from your website. Many documents I read about multiple investigations they carried with information about what they saw. And the one thing that frustrates me is like, man, right when they get to the most important stuff, they blot it out. Well, we can't put this name here or who this was, but you still get way more information than you would from speculating, and it's wonderful. But I kind of want to go down the esoteric road here because I'm a big believer in the psychic nature of things, the metaphysical realm, things of that nature, because I've actually had my own experiences with it, and to know that there's documents out there that I guess validate some of that stuff is nice to know. But it's not as big as the UFO stuff, right? Or am I wrong about that?
I would say it's not as big, but it depends on what angle, and a lot of stuff, it gets hard to get a hold of because, like you said, a lot of stuff is redacted. It starts to get good in a document, and then it becomes redacted, many of these things are. The Stargate collection with remote viewing is one example where it's kind of a question mark on how much are they really releasing. And that's what's tough about the FOIA is you don't know at what point they really are being honest. I mean, you have to play the game that they created. It's rules that they made up, and they're the referee. And for the most part, you have no idea how to play. And yet you are forced to do that with the FOIA. And so when you research a lot of these types of topics, there's a big question mark on whether or not you're getting everything. The sad part about it is a lot of these documents have been destroyed as well. Not to bring up mind control again, but that's a prime example. All of these experiments took place. We know MK Ultra existed. MK Ultra went much deeper. There was MK Naomi, MK Delta, all these different sub-projects. The problem, though, is when Richard Helms became the director of the CIA, he was the one that actually authorized some of this stuff when Alan Dulles, who was the director at the time, did not. And so when he became the director, his first order of business, or one of them anyway, was destroy all the MK Ultra stuff. And so a lot of it, the majority of it, was actually destroyed. The only thing that survived from the MK Ultra collection was material that was misfiled as financial records, and they went to a different office within the CIA. So when there was a congressional hearing, they did the investigation and they found these records. So at least some of it survived. Now, broadening from the mind control thing, yeah, that actually happens, sadly, more times than not. Because especially when you get into esoteric type topics, the government doesn't want that stuff lying around. And so if stuff did happen in the 50s and 60s when, a lot of this stuff really did take place, the Freedom of Information Act didn't exist back then. So document destruction was a lot more common. As the years and decades ticked on, then it became a little bit harder to cover it all up. So then the question mark is, well, are they truly giving you everything? And that's something that I can't answer. We just have to blindly have faith that they are and that they're being truthful with us, which we know the truthful part is fairly rare. But we do have to kind of figure out, are they giving us everything? And sadly, that's just something that we just go on blind faith because we can't go in and audit their response. As much as I would love to do that, we can't. And so we just have to go with a little bit of faith on it.
Well, what they have said about remote viewing in particular that I find interesting is that, the observations, and this is coming from a document that I've pulled from your website there about it, Operation Stargate. They're saying that the observations provide a compelling argument against continuation of the program with the intelligence community, which tells me that, okay, they're right there. They're trying to tell us that even though the statistics were right, there was an effect statistically. It's not enough to keep doing this. Well, see, that's what I find hard to believe. It's almost to me like they know they're going to have to put out a document, so this is their official statement. I mean, but you know that they're going to keep doing it. I mean, obviously, if they can remote view stuff, why would they not? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the Stargate collection is one that was another one that when I received it, I was fairly surprised at the amount of information they released. They released 89,901 pages on remote viewing and what they call the Stargate collection. And so I, did what I did with the MK Ultra stuff. I just dumped it all online. There were 15 CD-ROMs when I got it at the time. And because DVDs actually, I hate dating myself, but weren't as popular back then for data storage, and so they dumped the data on 15 CD-ROMs. And you look at the information, and you do realize, like you said, that the information is there to continue the research. So the question mark is, why did they stop it? And so then you have to kind of wrestle with, did they stop it? Is this kind of the public release where they say, hey, no, we stopped researching it, we don't care, it didn't yield any results, and yet behind the scenes they're funneling, millions and millions of dollars into this secret program of remote viewing? We don't know. And juxtaposing that with the ATIP revelation, where, as you mentioned, allegedly canceled in 2012, it's the same thing. We have to ask ourselves, well, did it really stop? And that's a big kind of question mark on whether or not that particular research stopped. So it's tough. It's really challenging because if history tells us anything, it tells us that the government is not necessarily being truthful. And so when you get 89,000 pages, almost 90,000 pages on remote viewing, and you do find this document that says, hey, the evidence is there, let's continue this research, and that the second breath, the CIA says, no, we don't care about it, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And so you just have to keep, as an investigator and a researcher, I just have to keep asking those questions, figure out what leads to go after, and how hard do you push? Because then under the FOIA, you can do what are called appeals. So if evidence does bear out that they didn't stop a particular research project, or they claim they have no records on something and in reality they do, you can appeal it and you can put up a fight and say, well, this is why I think you have records. And sometimes you win. Not all the time, but sometimes you do. And in the last few years, I've shockingly had quite a few successes with appeals where the government will say, no, sorry, we've got nothing, and so I'll appeal it and base it on, whatever evidence I have. And sure enough, they'll pop out something else of something that really was there, but they claim that it wasn't. And I've got quite a few examples of that. So, it's the long-winded way of saying there's a lot of blind faith here that the government is being truthful, open, and honest, when sadly history has bore out that they are not being truthful and honest and giving out everything that they have. So with remote viewing and Stargate, it's kind of a big question mark on, is this really it, or is there much more to find?
Well, what got me thinking about that was a subject that I bring up a lot on the show is Robert Monroe was having these out-of-body experiences, and then eventually in his books, if any of you guys have read the books, he affected the physical realm through the astral realm, and it was so hard to believe at first until I had my own experience with it. And then the question rose up, well, if I know about this, surely the governments and other people know about this, and are they doing stuff in this realm? Or I guess you could call it a realm. Are they manipulating us through our dreams? Are they doing stuff like that? And you got to think, well, if it's real, I would think they were, but obviously they're not going to tell you that. That'd probably be super classified. And that's another question I wanted to ask you is, what are some of the biggest restrictions about this? Like, if I wanted to get a document, what makes them say no, other than, well, that's classified? Is there anything that will hold you back other than just asking for it?
Nothing holds you back. The basic of the law of the Freedom of Information Act is you ask for information and they have to give it to you. Here's the caveat. There are 9 exemptions written into the law that if information falls within any of those 9 exemptions or those categories of exempted material, then it is redacted and then given to you or entirely withheld. So what that means is that every blacked out mark that you see on a document, there is a documented reason why. And now the first is the most commonly used, at least on the request that I go after, which is national security. So if they were to release the information underneath that black mark, it's a threat to national security, so they exempt it. That was one of the most challenging because who defines what a threat to national security really is? Now, obviously, some is common sense. You know, if I ask for the schematics on how to build a nuclear bomb, I get it. You know, that's blacked out. It's called Exemption B1. It's a national security threat. I totally get it. But when you're talking about UFO information, and I have tons of examples of top secret documents that came out that deal with UFOs that are still redacted to this day, and those redactions are a threat to national security. What about UFOs are a threat to national security? And we don't know because we can't really define what that threat is. That's one of those things we have to, you know, take their word for it. Some of the other most common blacked out, you have Exemption B6, the sixth exemption, which is personal identifying information, names, addresses, social security numbers. That makes sense. B7 is law enforcement. That's one thing you probably saw in Bill Cooper's file, is how they investigate certain things. That's all exempted because they don't want you to know exactly how law enforcement investigation works or what kind of rights they had to, you know, tap a phone or whatever they may have done.
Well, I'll just say this
those are
real
some
quick
of the more
about,
common exemptions.
About Bill Cooper, that there were so many investigations on that man that they had documented that it seemed like, and, you know, I can't prove this. Of course I can't prove it. But it sure seemed like they were digging for something on him. You know, like way before any of this tax stuff went down and they showed up to his house, that they were really trying to just catch him doing something. You know what I mean? Just to get him.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not the only one. Not to take away from that story, because it really is an interesting story. I mean, I don't know if the guy really was onto something and the government was going after him in whatever way, or if he was crazy. I don't know. I never met him. I don't know what the right answer is.
Right.
But that is a common theme with the FBI, in that they do have quite a few different files on various abductees, UFO experiencers. I have a section on the blackvault.com that if you use the search engine to the right once you enter the document archive, search for the paranormal collection, and that will come up with the FBI files. And I've got FBI files on a long list of people that are connected to the paranormal, UFOs, UFO research, being an abductee. I have George Adamski's file, you know, a lot of the 1950s, 60s era people that claim to have been abducted. The FBI was watching a lot of them. Sometimes it was because they had communist connections. Other times, you know, they were looking at what they were reporting and what they were talking about. And when they were going out and, you know, talking bad about the government, how bad were they talking about them? And so the FBI was definitely watching. So is that something that they do with everybody? Well, not really. I mean, I've got files on everybody from every category, from Hollywood celebrities to 1930s gangsters to you name it. I'll go after files on them. And so not everybody has a file. And so it really does make you wonder, are these intelligence agencies specifically targeting, you know, those that are connected to UFOs or the paranormal or whomever? I'm not sure what that answer is, but there is documentation to support that they are definitely watching a lot of people that are connected to these ideas and mindsets. So take that from what you will, but there's a lot of information there.
I'll be a little bit more specific too about what I'm saying here. It's one thing when you break a law, like I get a speeding ticket or something, but when they had multiple investigations investigating different things about him, not just taxes, but, you know, is he a threat to national security? Is it this? Did he cause a scene? Like they were just trying to catch him doing something, anything. And when I see something like that, it looks, you know, it looks malicious to me. I mean, to me, that's a reasonable assumption to make, I think.
No, absolutely. They've released almost 400 pages or so of information on him. I mean, obviously he had a lengthy file. So they were watching. There's no doubt about it. And it really, I mean, you've looked at that information yourself, and there's a lot of information there. And obviously they were watching this guy. Whether or not they were trying to maliciously frame him, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but they were definitely paying attention. Yeah, but I mean, they were definitely paying attention to him.
Here's a funny question from the chat room, but it's kind of important. Agnome wants to know, has a UFO document ever had aliens in it? Has it ever had aliens in it? That's funny. But that's a good question, Adam. Thank you.
No, it's a good question. There is a single-page document from the FBI about Roswell that talks about the fact that they were shipping bodies from Roswell, New Mexico to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base when they shipped the wreckage back there, whatever the wreckage was, whether balloon or not. So there's that document, and there's that saying that you hide it in plain sight, where the FBI profiled it as like their most downloaded document. It's called the Guy Hotel or Hotel Memo, Hottel. That was the guy that wrote it, and in fact, I mean, it's only like 2 paragraphs if you want me to read it, but
I would like to hear it.
It does. Sure. So the memo is dated March 22nd, 1950. So the memo has the subject flying saucers information concerning. And the first part, the following information was furnished to SA or special agent, and then it's blacked out. So that's obviously what I was referencing before, B6. And then here's the quote. An investigator for the Air Force stated that 3 so-called flying saucers had been recovered in New Mexico. They were described as being circular in shape with raised centers, approximately 50 feet in diameter. Each one was occupied by 3 bodies of human shape, but only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic cloth and a very fine texture. Each body was bandaged in a manner similar to the blackout suits used by speed flyers and test pilots. According to Mr. and its blacked out informant, the saucers, and it's a really bad photocopy, so forgive me, the saucers were found in New Mexico due to the fact that the government has a very high-powered radar set up in that area, and it is believed that the radar interferes with the controlling mechanics of the saucers. So that is an official declassified document. There's really kind of no explanation behind, like, where the heck did this come from? But that is real, and that is one that I've received under the FOIA. The FBI has posted it, and it's on there, and it talks about bodies in connection with the flying saucers through the late 40s, and obviously this was written in March of 1950. So is that the smoking gun? I don't know. There's again going back to the hide it in plain sight.
It sounds pretty smoky to me.
It does.
I mean, they weren't hobbits,
yeah.
So it's
yeah, no, I agree. And so this is something that I would recommend anybody look at. I mean, I've got that on the FBI paranormal collection as well. In fact, I went after files relating to Guy Hotel as well, and most of the FBI agents around this time too. That's another kind of section that I've created. A lot of agents with the FBI have files of their own, not just personnel files or employee records. I'm talking about a lot of them were watched as well. So during that time frame, there were a lot of people watched and looked into by the FBI. But this particular memo, I mean, it sticks out as being something like, hey, wait, where did this information come from? And it's kind of a big question mark at this point.
Some unknown informant. That's all we know, but it was declassified. Mm-hmm. Very interesting stuff. I think it, obviously there's some people that think Roswell wasn't real, but I mean, come on, guys. It's all there now. UFOs are real. Mm-hmm. My question is now, and I've talked to Tim Doyle about this, and I'm curious as to what you think. Is it mostly military? I got to think it is for the most part. I'm not saying that. And this actually offends some people, John, when you say, I think that most of the craft that we're seeing in the sky are military, whether it's U.S. or some other country. People get upset when you say that, and I don't understand why, but I mean, even based on some of the stuff I've read, I think most of it's military. But, I mean, I could be wrong.
No, in fact, I completely agree with you and think you're right on that. I think that the majority of people that are outside the military that are seeing these strange craft in the sky, wherever they are, from coast to coast or around the globe, mostly here in America, they're describing, in my opinion, descriptions of military aircraft or top secret technology. You know, we've got drones the size of mosquitoes at this point. We've got craft that look like manta rays that fly in the sky. I mean, it's crazy what we have. And so to somebody who doesn't see aircraft or study aircraft or understand aircraft or what the government might be testing, to them, yeah, I mean, that looks like an alien spaceship. I would say it's a strong 98% of the reports that come in from people outside the military. I think they are seeing something that is rather terrestrial, again, being a drone or military aircraft or sometimes even a commercial aircraft. NASA itself is flying non-classified craft in the sky during these tests, and they're flying some really weird stuff. I mean, if you look at some of their experimental aircraft, I mean, they're really doing some weird, bizarre flights in the air, and I think some people, you know, see that as well. The ones that really fascinate me are the ones within the military files. When the military pilots are seeing UFOs, and that's documented within military files as unidentified, that they can't identify it, they don't understand it, and it's exhibiting qualities of an aircraft that we just don't have. When you look at government and military files that are declassified, that explain incidents like that, that is something that really intrigues me. Why? Because then it's not 98% anymore of dismissing it as a military craft, because it's the military itself that's actually documenting these UFO encounters. That, to me, makes it really fascinating when you deal with those. And so I think that 98% number goes way, way, way down, and it's not so terrestrial anymore. It's not something that is so easily explained. That doesn't mean that all Air Force pilots know 100% of what the Air Force is flying in the air. And I think that we do have to take that into account. Just because a military pilot sees something that they can't explain doesn't necessarily mean that it's not military and it's alien. I have a lot of respect for the military, the men and women. I have a lot of respect for those that fly in the military aircraft that we send overseas and fly in battle. So this is not meant to be disrespectful. But I think that we should understand that those men and women who are flying those aircraft do not have a 100% grasp of everything that the United States Air Force has. They definitely have a leg up over someone like me. I mean, they're highly trained when it comes to flying, and they understand their aircraft or a couple different types of aircraft, and they get it and understand it. But again, that doesn't mean that they just are completely privy to everything that the military is flying. However, though, I still would not say that it's 98% explainable when it comes to those cases. It's probably a very low number. So then the question is, when the military can't identify it, and there are a lot of cases like this in declassified files, when the military can't identify it, then what the heck is it? And those are the ones that really get me scratching my head, because, you know, it's not Iran, you know, it's not North Korea. It's something that we just can't explain. And when the most highly advanced country in the world, with the most advanced military equipment in the world, sees things that outrun them or display characteristics that we just don't have, that is something that we need to look at, and that's something that we need to pay attention to. I'm not saying it's all alien, but I'm saying that it's all intriguing, and that's something that in my personal opinion, that's what I hone in on and really focus on as being very viable pieces of evidence.
We got to take a break here, John, but I'm just real curious before we jump into break. Has anybody ever tried to get you to be quiet? Have you ever had that? Because I hear this a lot. Oh, so-and-so's shutting off my internet, or they're calling me, or there's a car parked outside, or there's helicopters. And if anybody, in my opinion, needs that, if that was really going to happen, I think it would happen to you. Has anything like that ever happened to you?
Not yet that I know of. I mean, there's always strange things, and I'm not paranoid. I've told myself from a very young age, don't ever become a paranoid researcher where I'm always looking over my back. But I do, and I look behind my shoulder, and make sure that I'm not being followed. But I've never seen anything. I'm still around. I can still talk to you and blab too much probably, and keep talking. So would they want me to be quiet? I'm sure they would. I'm sure they want me to go away because I'm sure I am annoying. But I've never seen anything that really made me go, you know what? Maybe I should second guess this and just stop.
Me either. I haven't either. But I had to ask that. I hope you understand. We'll be right back, guys.
No problem.
John Greenewald from theblackvault.com. Don't go anywhere. We're right back after these messages.
This is Preston Dennett from PrestonDennett.weebly.com, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Reverend John M. Polk from JohnPolkMedia.com, and you can listen to my show, The Quantum Hologram Matrix, every Thursday night. ETs, UFOs, metaphysics, the paranormal, and more are some of the many topics we will cover on The Quantum Hologram Matrix. Make sure you bring your higher concentric multidimensional selves. That's every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on The Fringe FM.
Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hi, this is Ryan Gable, host of the Secret Teachings radio show. If you are interested in ancient knowledge and hidden mysteries, as well as a unique and balanced perspective on conspiracies, symbols, and the occult, then join me every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Fringe FM.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
You asked for it. We listened. Changes are coming to the Fringe FM. Hear the Paranormal Code with Rich Giordano live Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, starting July 9th.
July 9th, we're going to be going 4 nights a week on the Fringe FM.
Followed by Lighting the Void with me, Joe Roop, live at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Then stay up with us in the early morning hours for some of the best paranormal and alternative programming around. The truth is out there, and so are we. The Fringe FM.
You've probably heard about all the great benefits of goat milk soap. But did you know some companies take shortcuts? At Old New England Soap, we make our organic goat's milk soap using 36% goat's milk. That's 17% more than most others. Our bars are larger, so they last longer, producing lots of lather packed with vitamins. And our soap is a natural moisturizer that smooths dry and damaged skin. Order online at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. You've tried the rest. Now try the best. oldnesoap.com.
Water-based soaps on supermarket shelves use harsh chemical acids to break down dead skin cells, and that's just not good for you. At Old New England Soap, our soaps are made without chemical ingredients, contain no alcohol or petroleum products, and use 85% organic materials and carry the USDA's organic certification. Try some today. Go to oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. oldnesoap.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Paranormal, somewhere between abnormal and paranormal.
The U.S. military holds the ability to time travel.
Jeremy Scott asks the questions that we're all dying to know.
Wow, that's a remarkable question.
Watch your step. Hide under your blankets.
The show that is going to make you think.
Prepare yourself for what you're about to hear.
This transmission is coming to
you. You're riding into the paranormal.
Live Saturday nights at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Don't forget to sign up to the newsletter on the website, as well as get your t-shirt. We got t-shirts there, and you can also donate and support the show. We're here with John Greenewald from the blackvault.com. Pretty interesting question came in the chat here about protocol. Sammy wants to know, John, is that she found a document on her computer about, I guess, protocol, if there actually was some type of alien invasion or something, and she said it fried her computer twice. She knows she saw the document, but can't recall what it said. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I as I mentioned earlier, I work as a television producer, so I have a lot of fun making documentaries for some of the cable networks like History and Discovery. And I did one on alien contact with this particular documentary. Was part of a series that Discovery Channel was doing. And the short of it is, it was what happens. It was like the contact protocols. What happens if aliens do show up? You know, who speaks for us? And what do we do? I mean, do we try and reach out? Do we, put up the block walls and try and defend ourselves? What happens? And to my surprise, there was really kind of no official answer. And I worked with the SETI Institute, and they have, a lot of protocols that they have written up and really thought a lot about it. But that's obviously not at this point an official government document. And so I did a lot of FOIA requests to try and figure out, do any of these agencies, NASA or intelligence agencies or anything, have any type of contact protocols that if ET shows up, what do we do? And to my surprise, I never found anything on an official level. There are contingency plans for a heck of a lot, though. And in fact, I will bring up one that really did exist. And this was a contingency plan for surviving the zombie apocalypse. Now, I'm not joking and I'm not making it up. This was actually a real document that talked about literally surviving a zombie apocalypse if zombies show up. And so they have this, and yet they don't have something for extraterrestrials if they show up. And so it was a very weird discovery. Now, very quickly on the zombie apocalypse plan, they claim that it's just a training exercise, and there are humorous parts to it where you kind of go, okay, well, this isn't real in the sense that they really are planning for zombies. However, it's pretty interesting to see, and I actually found that there are classified top-secret documents on this particular contingency plan. It's called ConPlan 8888. And so if you, again, search the blackvault.com for ConPlan 8888, you'll come up with the zombie apocalypse plan. So, again, one of those examples where the government says, no, this is just a training exercise, and yet, here's what's so top secret about a zombie apocalypse training exercise, and yet there were classified documents that I was able to actually get declassified about ConPlan 8888. So going back to your question about the ET plan, there was nothing on an official basis. Now, I will say that my good friend Nick Pope, who worked for the UK government, he did an exercise that was more, I don't want to say fun because I don't want to diminish what he did, but he made kind of an official or an unofficial official plan, if that makes sense. So he kind of mocked up something. I believe, if memory serves me well, he did it for a video game promotion, but he kind of did this plan for if ETs show up. I kind of recall that I came up with that during research for that Discovery Channel show that we produced. So that's the only thing that I could think of that's really been written about about contingency plans and extraterrestrial contact. But again, that was not an official document. Again, that was something that I believe Nick Pope wrote. But from an official level, shockingly, I've never been able to find anything other than the SETI protocols. And that really is a show in itself on what happens when ET shows up, because, you know, who's to say? I have a lot of respect for the SETI guys. I mean, I know they get trashed by the UFO field a lot. I don't trash them. I respect them a lot. They do a lot of great work beyond searching radio signals. But that being said, who nominated them to really kind of speak for us? You know, and be the kind of the middleman between ET showing up and humanity. And so that's a really fascinating topic, and one that I would blabber on about for hours, because I really did a lot of research on this show for really what would happen if they showed up, what protocols are written, like the SETI protocols that they have kind of written up. But also at that point of what do we do? What do we say? What kind of knowledge do we exchange? And that led into a bigger question, which again, not to go off on a left field tangent, but the bigger question was, let's say they don't show up, should we be reaching out? And that was one of my favorite things to kind of talk about, was should we be sending signals out that direction? Not necessarily searching for them coming our direction, but should we be generating them and sending them out into the cosmos? And so that is one topic that I just absolutely love and adore beyond anything I can explain. But going back to your question, I don't think that there are any official documents that we know of about contact.
Well, you know, they got some type of protocol. They got to. I would think they have to by now. But then again, they're not. They stated that, you know, these in you know, to the stars or whatever in the document I read, that this wasn't, you know, a big priority, which I still don't believe. But you know, I see what you're saying about
it. Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I'm surprised that there weren't. Not necessarily because the government really thinks it's going to happen, but more so that the government actually has a contingency plan on like everything. And so why wouldn't they have one? And so that really confused me, and then it kind of led me to lean towards, hey, wait, are they covering it up? Do they not want this out because they really do think it will happen, or it has happened, or you know what? I don't really know. When SETI first started, they were funded with government funds, and obviously went private many years ago. But there was that government connection in the very beginning. So the government did have an interest at that point to say, hey, look, let's search the stars and figure out our signals coming our way, and can we make contact? And if we do, let's figure out how to respond and how we're going to communicate. What do we do? Obviously, the government gave up on that and stopped funding it, and SETI went private and funded by more private and corporate donations and sponsorships. So there's that lack of government connection now. But the question is, do any documents exist on this? And I looked, and sadly I couldn't find anything. I did come up with something called the ET exposure law, and this was something that was on the books. It's often cited by some people as proof that NASA astronauts were encountering aliens. And I'm going to sound like a skeptic here. That's not what this was. The ET exposure law was something that was written up in the early days of Apollo, that as we were going out and stepping foot on the moon, number one, we could kind of experience or encounter a life form on there. That was a possibility. But the idea behind the ET exposure law was, you know, that if they did encounter something, they shouldn't take their gloves off and start rubbing it, you know, on their skin, kind of a thing. And there was protocols in that respect to really kind of appreciate what they were encountering when it came to biological, algae, virus, whatever it might be that they were encountering. It was something that they had to really kind of appreciate and not necessarily be careless with. That's why the Apollo astronauts, when they came back, were quarantined for a certain amount of time. And the reason was because what if they did encounter something or were exposed to something? They didn't need this alien virus breaking out. That's really the only official thing that I was able to come up with that I can think of off the top of my head that was remotely close to ET contact. Other than that, though, protocols just didn't exist, and that in itself was actually pretty telling in my mind, because I would think that there would be something, and there wasn't anything.
Right. Well, we could say on the research at theblackvault.com, we could talk about space anomalies, but the one thing that really bugs me, and a lot of times I know that my brain and mind is playing tricks on me, and I become slightly paranoid thinking all this stuff is happening. But after a while, John, I start thinking there's something to it. Way before they announced the National Space Council, when they was rehashing it, which is actually run by Big Bush, who's another big CIA guy, and then Trump rehashes the National Space Council, and now we're talking Space Force, and we're hearing booms. And back when they opened that thing, there was all kinds of weird stuff coming out of the sky, people seeing stuff. And now I'm seeing articles that are trying to scare us about satellites hacking into our computers and information, which looks like propaganda to me. It makes me wonder if, Wernher von Braun wasn't right. Like, is there something out there they're not telling us about? There's a lot of talk about secret space programs and contact with aliens and stuff going on. And I'm thinking there's something there. Have you got any documents about secret space program, anything like that, the Space Force? Have you looked into that at all?
Yeah. With in regards to like the whistleblower testimony, and I don't want to, you can name the names, I won't, but there's a couple whistleblowers out. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't dig stories like that just because, they come out, they're solo, they have no evidence, and they have these grandiose stories. They get a lot of press, sadly. I don't understand why or how, but they do, with absolutely nothing to back up. I don't think that there's, a secret Mars force, time travelers, those types of whistleblower stories. Right. I just don't buy into those. Now, what I do believe is going on a smaller scale is that I believe that, and so I believe that the intelligence community agrees with this, is that the next 9/11 is going to be cyber, or it's going to be something that does come from above, whether it be a weaponized satellite or an ASAT weapon. It's going to be something that we need to protect ourselves from, because multiple countries are pursuing technology like this. And so I think from a smaller standpoint, yeah, there is a threat from above, and it's other countries, and I don't think Trump is doing the wrong thing by creating this, in essence, Space Force to defend against somebody that's going to attack us from above, because I do believe that those days are coming. I don't think it's going to be a hijacking. I don't think it's going to be a suicide bomber in a McDonald's. I do believe that the next major attack, a 9/11, will be either cyber or something from above. And I do believe that, because there is some really scary stuff out there. Taking it then to the next level of getting bigger, then the question mark is, well, what else could we be defending ourselves from? Is this some way to defend ourselves from a terrorist attack from, one of these countries that hates us to death, and they're getting a little bit of funding from drug trade, selling weapons, or another country that's funneling in, money to fund these illegal activities? What can they build? But beyond that, then what else can we defend ourselves with? Is there something malicious out there? And I will bring up one other show that I did, because I want to play devil's advocate with myself. And one of the last shows I did for History Channel was about the end of the world. And the series was called Doomsday, 10 Ways the Planet Will Die. And it was all about just that, 10 ways. Different episodes dealt with different either natural phenomena, major earthquake, nuclear strike, comet, or an asteroid strike onto the planet. My particular episode was an alien attack, that if a advanced civilization were to traverse the stars, come here, and they were malicious, what would they do, and how would they do it, and why? And so I created a 1-hour documentary, scientifically based, on an advanced civilization coming here. How advanced would they be? Why would they do it? And how? And I mean, I completely destroyed humanity in this documentary. And my point with bringing this up is that I do not believe our dinky weapons that we put into space with our Space Force and, hoorah, and let's fly the stars and stripes in space. That's all great, and I'm proud of that. Don't get me wrong. But it pales to what a advanced civilization would have if they could get here. Because if they can get here, nuclear weapons, they don't care about that. I laugh at and I'm not trying to diminish anybody because you may disagree with me, but I laugh at the notion that they're here to save us from our own nuclear weapons and trying to elevate us to join some galactic community. I'm sorry, I just don't see it.
I laugh at that too, John. I'm just being honest with you, brother.
I mean, I really do. And in this show, I mean, I went into detail on how scientifically advanced a civilization would or could be if they can traverse the stars and come here. Not only would their propulsion be amazing, and that's a great, piece of technology they got behind them, but with that technology comes weaponry. And I'm sorry, our nuclear bombs are scarier than heck. Stan Friedman and I talked about it on the first episode of the radio show that we did, and we got into the magnitude of some of these nuclear weapons. Why do I bring that up? Well, they're only big because that's all we know, right? The minute that really big bomb in Hiroshima went off, which at the time was like the biggest explosion ever, that's like a fraction of the bigger bombs that came later, right? We could never dream of that being that much bigger because we had not experienced it yet. And my point with that is that when you talk about an advanced civilization and something that has had a 1,000,000-year head start on us, which in space-time is absolutely nothing, and you compare that to the last 115, 120 years of humanity and see how far we've gone. We've gone from not being able to fly to stepping foot on the moon and, look at where I on Mars and beyond. When you look at how we've done in 120 years, imagine 1,000,000. And so that weaponry, when they look at that speck of dust coming up from the biggest nuclear bomb that we can explode, that's nothing. And so the Space Force idea that it's going to defend against an alien attack, I hope that's not it, because I hope they're not that stupid. I mean, they've done some dumb stuff. I think that would be something even dumber. I think the real root of all of that is honestly protecting ourselves in America from ourselves in the world. That those crazy people that might get their hands on an ASAT weapon or something like that and would want to use it, that's what we're trying to defend against.
Yeah, and I mean, we can go back in history, like I think you've talked about this before. We can go back in history 5,000 years, but the planet is millions of years old. So, I mean, we're just now discovering quantum realms and quantum entanglement, and you would think we're not warp driving yet, but we're getting there. So I'm totally with you on that. I think that it's kind of ridiculous, a notion to think that we have some great grand protectors. Not to say we don't have something protecting us. There could be spiritually, sure, but which is another topic I wanted to talk to you about, but we're running out of time because you've got a section on your website about angels and demons, which I meant to talk about that. I had it right here in the cliffs, but didn't bring it up. And just real quick before we let you go, what is your opinion on that? Do you think that stuff's real?
The quick answer is I'm not sure. The slightly longer answer is there is so much that we as humanity don't know. I've learned not to dismiss things. And I think that when you deal with cases like that, and there's so many different witnesses and experiences from people, even though I've never encountered an angel or a demon that I know of, I take in those types of reports and take them somewhat seriously in the respect that I like to archive them so others can read it and see if something maybe will jive with their own experience, simply because there is so much we do not know, not only about the universe but ourselves. You talked about consciousness and different realms and so on and so forth. I mean, I'm not ready to say, hey, look, we live in, some kind of multiverse and there's a parallel universe somewhere or whatever. I don't know, though. And we make leaps and bounds of discoveries all the time. And the stories that I get the kick out of the most are the ones when we find something in the ocean that we've never discovered before. or the extremophiles that are living in environments that just 10, 15, 20 years ago, scientists said there's no absolute way can life survive on the edge of a thermal vent from the bottoms of the oceans, or the temperatures are too harsh and there's no way. Yeah, we get down there and it shows that it's teeming with life. Science is rewritten all the time, and whether it be 5 years or 50 years or even 500 years from now, if we learn that angels really are here, or ghosts are really around us, or there are different levels of consciousness, or whatever it might be, that kind of stuff doesn't surprise me anymore. At least I try not to let it, because there is so much that we are learning every single day. If we turn it off and ignore it, then we'll never learn anything again. I've just learned to be open to it, take it in. I may not necessarily believe it, but I don't shut it out.
Well, I definitely, that's exactly how I think about it. I've had my own experiences with that. Everybody's heard about it, and I may talk about it in the third hour, but I still don't know if it's in my mind. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that my mind is not doing these things, or how powerful the mind really is. We don't know these things, but science is trying to discover it, and you're right. Not just science changes, but the laws of physics seems to change every 20 years, which is fascinating in itself. John, what do you got going on now? The blackvault.com. You got Black Vault Radio. I hope I'm saying that right. It's on Stitcher as well as YouTube. Go ahead and make sure you plug everything you need to plug, man, because I really appreciate you coming on and love your work.
Well, it's my pleasure anytime. Yeah, the short of it is theblackvault.com will give you kind of the roadmap to everything you need to know. The Black Vault Radio is new. There's a couple episodes online, but there's so much more coming. There's not only the audio content channel or the Black Vault Radio, but I've also got some videos coming, content when it comes to kind of making, we'll call it a mini television show. So that's on its way too. That's in the works. So there's a lot of stuff there. It's on iTunes and just got approved to Google Play Music. So whatever your radio app of choice is, just search for Black Vault, and my guess is you'll come up with it now. There's quite a few of them. So I've got some great shows coming with some awesome guests that I'm pretty thrilled about. But again, the blackvault.com will give you the roadmap to everything. You can follow the link to the document archive. There's your 2 million pages to read until your heart's content. And then the case files, which we've talked about, the different angels and demons and UFO cases. Follow that link, and you'll get spit out of thousands of different cases on UFOs and all sorts of stuff to read. So that'll definitely get you going. All the contact forms you find, just come to me. I'm the only one that runs the Black Vault. So whatever you find to write, that will come directly to me.
Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it, man. John Greenewald from theblackvault.com. Stick around. We got one more hour to go where you're just going to hang out with us. We got some stuff in store for you. We're going to talk about the future of this radio program. And we'll open up the phones, too, if any of you guys paid attention to your email. Thanks again, John. I really appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll be back right after this.
This is David Oman with HouseAtTheEndOfTheDrive.com. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Hi folks, CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
How you doing today, guys? This is Garrett Lee.
And this is Randy Warner.
From the Healers and Hellraisers podcast.
A podcast about people.
You're going to hear stories from the enlightening to the frightening.
Told by those who lived it.
Listen right here on The Fringe FM.
Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And on The Fringe Free-For-All, right here on The Fringe FM.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Duval, Lon Malo Duquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
Hi folks, let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply, and of course the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic. And very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Lighting the Void is proud to announce Mind and Magic's Protection and Defense Course for protection from magical and psychic attacks. This is not a joke. Magic practitioners are on the rise, and with that comes attacks from baneful or black magicians that try to harm or hurt others for their own selfish reasons. If you are not a believer in psychic attacks, then this isn't for you. If you are, and you want the power to defend yourself and your family and home, then I highly suggest you grab Freighter Xavier's Protection and Defense Course. In this course, you will learn how to tell if you are under attack from a natural source or if an individual is attacking you. The 4 forms of curses and attacks. How to remove self-imposed curses. The correct way to cleanse your home from negativity or malevolent entities. How to make your own holy water. What you should always keep near or under your bed. Herbs that banish negativity and promote purity. The most powerful banishing rituals on the planet. And for those that seem to want to harm you the most, how to put your enemies in a hell pit of their own making. You can also learn protection against shadow people and other entities. Or are you just in a bad planetary alignment? Even how to get rid of an enemy using a tic-tac box. It does not matter what your faith or belief is, this will work. Click the banner on the website at lightingthevoid.com or go to lightingthevoid.com/Xavier.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass as you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shifthead.
the call-in number, 1-800-588-0335. I'm Joe Root. This is Lighting the Void. We are live on The Fringe FM. That is www.thefringe.fm, or you can go to thefringefm.com. Make sure you download the app as well for Google Play or iTunes. Also, I've done something for you guys if you know how much I love audiobooks, so I want to make sure that I plug this. audibletrial.com/LTV radio. Do me a favor, if you want to get into the biggest parts of the show, go get that trial account. It's 30 days. You get a free book, and I highly recommend Robert Monroe's Journeys Out of the Body. And that's what you need to start with if you want to go down the astral travel realm, but there's tons of great books there. We just got through talking to John Greenewald from the blackvault.com, and what a great fellow, interesting guy. There's something that I wanted to do here real quick. I wanted to make sure this last hour on our first night that we talk about the future of the Fringe FM and this show, because it's a very, I received an email today about a guy that said you're kicking it into fourth gear at the right time. And I'm not going to reveal the name of the guy, but it's a lot of work. And so I appreciate you guys, all of your support. So many of you have backed me doing this, and as well as backed Rich, and I can't thank you all enough. And at the right time, I wanted to bring on a certain person, because at the right time, when the Fringe FM needed it the most, the right man stepped in to help us out and partner up with the network. So Eric Markham is here with us to talk a little bit. And Eric, what'd you, real quick though, what'd you think about Greenewald? Did you like that interview?
Awesome. Yes, that was an awesome. I mean, my coffee got cold, and I was jonesing for a cigarette because I wouldn't walk away from the interview. That kept my attention.
There's enough documents on that website to keep you busy for a lifetime. But the cool thing about the website is that if you got a question about anything and you want to know the most facts you can get from a document standpoint, that's where you got to go. And I've been there, going off and on there for the past week. And not mention that, Stanton Friedman said on, I think it was the Roswell Daily Record that, he's pretty much endorsing Greenewald as the next guy on the scene to maybe take his place. So that's a big statement there.
Yeah, because, they both have a lot in common. They've got that scientific approach, and they've also got the same admission that they themselves have never seen a UFO. Or anything that they believed was, 100% without a doubt a UFO. So it's like they are in line.
Now, does that make you mad, Eric, when people say you sound like Hank Hill? Does that upset you? Because I won't say it if it does. I promise you.
No, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I've heard it. First time I heard it was in Maine when I was a travel med tech, because I guess growing up in Michigan, but having lived in the South, I've adapted I've picked up some of the vernacular and some of the, I guess some of the twang, and, it is what it is.
Well, I know all of you have opened your emails that I sent out on the newsletter. I can't believe you're not taking advantage of this right now, but I've got about 6 or 7 brand new books that haven't been opened yet. So if you take advantage of that call-in number, which is 1-800-588-0335, we've got The Power of Archetypes by Marie D. Jones, The Emperor's Stargate by Alexandria Hardham. We've also got A Journey into Being by Christine Ramos, and Beyond the Source with Guy Stevens Needler. So those are I told you guys we were going to do giveaways. So if you call in, just call in and you'll get it. You don't even have to have the password. I'm disappointed in my newsletter folks right now, but they're kind of disappointed in me. I've been behind on this, but I wanted to bring you on, Eric, to talk about the future of the network and why you're here. When you approached me and said, asked if I was interested in you partnering, it was a shock. And I can tell you're a big radio fan, and I love the old school radio style of things, and that's the way we want to keep doing stuff. So, man, I want to welcome you officially on the air, because I haven't done that yet, to the network, and as a partner and as a colleague, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
Oh, it's been a thrill. It's been a thrill ride from the beginning. my thing was I started listening to your show more than I was other shows. And like you said, I do love radio. I've got the old-time radio station is the primary thing I listen to when I drive cross-country. It's, I can't think of the name. I'm not going to plug them because they're not paying for advertising. But anyway, there's a channel that's all they do is old radio programs like Gunsmoke, before it was a show, or The Shadow, when Orson Welles was the voice of The Shadow. I mean, that stuff is just pure gold. So, and as I was listening to you on Lighting the Void, I was reminded of some of these old-time radio, some of the old-time radio shows, the way the announcers worked, and the sound of it all. And also, you give a damn good interview. So it was, I was as thrilled to have you accept my partnership offer as, I could have been.
Where do you see the network going, and what do you want to see happen? Because you've already brought up some cool things to me that if you would like to see what direction the Fringe FM goes in, what would be the biggest thing you'd like to see happen?
Oh, I'd like us all to become billionaires. No, seriously. Just if we just keep going like we're going, I mean, we're already growing in listeners. We're already growing, shows. If we just keep doing what we're doing, it'll be a self-supporting, it'll be a nice way to make a living. I mean, for you and as an investment for me. I mean, I'm not planning on taking anything out for the near future at all, but, I would like to see us be, right up there with, what was that one you told me, Art Bell's old network. I'd like to see us, Dark Matter, yeah, I'd like to look up one day and see Dark Matter Radio in our rearview mirror.
Well, we're in their rearview mirror.
I think we can do it.
TalkStream Live right now. So I can't thank Bill Freeze and the guys at TalkStream Live enough for. I just want to say this too because I've never said it on the air. Bill Freeze is one hell of a guy, and he has done everything in the world for me. I mean, if I needed advice, if I had any questions. TalkStream Live was there for me. So that's another app you guys should get. If you don't have it already, you'll find not just this network, but a ton of great radio shows on there. I mean, they have the TalkStream Live app, the Paranormal Radio app, and I'm excited. But why I'm excited is because Rich Giordano, I think tonight, if I look at the record numbers on the network, I think he had a record night tonight. Because I haven't even told him how many people were listening on the network, not to mention the Spreaker chat. And I don't know why I didn't tell anybody. We have 2 chat rooms, by the way, one in Spreaker and then one over at the Fringe FM /chat. So you guys can jump in there anytime you want. We're all real friendly. But for Monday and Thursday night, Monday through Thursdays, Rich is going to come on and do his show from 7 p.m. Pacific to 9, and then for 3 hours after that, I'm going to do that. And then Friday, you got Shift Happens, and I don't really want to announce the Friday host just because I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy about that night too. So, yeah, I'm excited about this. I can't wait to see where we are in the next 3 or 4 months, just to kind of weigh in. Did I lose you? Oh, there you are, brother.
No. You've got me thinking. You know me, I think everything over 5 times before I say it. This is a bad habit. No, it's just going to be, having gotten in here at the ground floor, just as things were starting to break loose. I mean, we were at sort of a make or break, and it looks like, it's going to be make now. And it's thrilling to be there. And, it's with the audience feedback being as positive as it is, I think we've made some good decisions. And I think so far, there's nowhere to go but up. I mean, it's wide open. I don't think we'll have any trouble at all.
Well, I know we got some new listeners tonight. So what I want you guys to understand is, and people tell me, don't say that, Joe, don't say this about yourself. Look, I'm no pro. I'm no guru. I'm an amateur radio host, a professional producer. I doubt every night's going to be super spectacular, but I promise you I'm going to do everything in my power to make it this way. I had plans to put in segments for tonight, but I just didn't get around to the work because I miss that. I miss segmented radio. You know, I love talking to guests, you know, so I plan on talking to guests for a couple hours each night, but also just to have different segments and different types of stuff you're going to hear that all involve the show. Different people come on, different characters, and just make it you know, I mean, look, guys, right now you've been hearing the same thing for a long time. We all know this. And it's really safe to say that since Art Bell got out of the business and, you know, he passed, that there's not a lot of change going on. And everybody's trying to be like Art Bell, but the problem is you can't be like Art Bell. It's time we don't have to get away from traditional radio. And if you people think that FM is dying, I can tell you statistically it is not dying. So radio is still there. It's still, I mean, you're listening right now, so you know. But I'm going to bring some stuff back that hasn't been around for a while. That's what I plan on doing, not just on the network, but on the show, and hopefully with your feedback, because we do everything based on your feedback here. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm. You can call the station at 501-777-5631. The call-in number is different, but that's the station number, and leave a voicemail. You can text that number. You can also hit us up on Facebook. We got several admins in there that will relay the message. You know, like I said, I'm an amateur. I've had, and probably still will, I've had a few audio issues I'm working out, and people tell me, you know, Joe, I love your show, but you got some audio stuff going on that I find quite annoying, and here's what it is. You guys don't really know how much I appreciate that. So please keep that coming. All the criticism in the world. And Eric and I plan on doing things. We're going to, you know, go to more conferences. I think we're even going to get a van eventually, right? In a couple of years. Ain't that right? We're going to have a big van down by the river that says The Fringe FM on it. Go find a dusty old van somewhere on a car lot. I think I might have lost Eric. You there, brother?
No, I had the mute button on, get some of the background noise, and forgot.
It happens.
Yeah, a van or an RV. I mean, I'm already looking at an RV because for the foreseeable future, I guess until Eric Cooper gets sick of me being around, I'm going to be, you know, heading out to Concrete, Washington at least once a year for the Paracon. You know, and even if I'm not a guest speaker, I'll go there just to help out with to MC or do something to support Forest Moon Paranormal's Paracon. So it would be nice to
have a van. We need a van, bro.
Yeah, a van
with a big fat satellite on it. You know, area code 480. You're on the air. Who are we speaking with?
Curtis Green. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Kurt?
Great show tonight, man. Awesome.
It's been a while since I've heard your voice, man.
Yeah, we haven't talked for a long time. I'm still working on that studio mic. It'll be here within about 7 days. By the way, I'm coming back on your air, the Kurt Green Hour reboot. I don't know when, but expect that one day coming up around the corner. It's going to be better than ever. So
Coffee with Kurt, right?
Coffee with Kurt, yes. We'll get some good...
what did you think about John Greenewald?
Awesome. I love his first part of his name, too. Green, of course.
Have you been to the website?
Awesome, deep talk. I love it when you go deep like that. It's really cool. So, good show, good, solid, tight show.
I guess I would give you one of these books for calling in, but I don't know if you want them. None of them are biblical, brother.
It doesn't have to be all that all the time. But,
how about The Power of Archetypes? I'll send that one to you by Marie D. Jones.
What is it? The Power of what?
Archetypes. You need that. You need that in your collection.
Yeah. Send that. I'll read that thorough. You have my address via my, if you
don't give that out on the air. I got it.
Skype, I'll talk to you there. You have a good rest of the show. Good to talk to you, brother. Looking forward to coming back on your thefringe.fm one day, okay?
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it, brother.
See you later now. Bye now.
Kurt Green, that guy's got one of the best voices I've ever heard in my life. He could talk about anything, and I would listen to it. And he's not even using a broadcast mic, so wait till he gets that. But appreciate your call, Kurt, and I appreciate your support. If anybody else wants to call the number is 1-800-588-0335, 1-800-588-0335. Getting callers on the show is a pain in the butt because you got so many chat rooms, nobody wants to do it anymore. I've thought about squashing chat rooms, but that would be no fun, Eric. Can't do that.
No, I kind of agree that people are so used to texting, but I'm a slow typer. I'd prefer to call in myself. So, and I can't be the only one that still does, looks at the keyboard and uses two fingers.
There's a message.
There's got to be some callers out there.
From Lily says you need video to live radio events and a few video interviews to broadcast. I don't like putting my face on the air, but if you want to see my face, I'm a radio guy. I'm not saying I won't do video, but if you want to see my face in the latest interview I did, I was actually on Grimerica. Sorry about that. I was on Grimerica here recently talking about magic on one of their shows, and they have the entire YouTube interview up there, and you can tell I hated being on camera. 501 area code, you are on the air.
Hi there, how are you?
Hi, who are we speaking with?
Sammy.
Hi, Sammy, how are you?
Awesome. I read your email and was interested in the truth eclipse.
Well,
right?
You know what? There's 3 books left here, and you did get the password right, so everybody knows it now. There's Beyond the Source by Needler, which looks cool, A Journey into Being, and The Emperor's Stargate. Which one do you want?
A Journey Beyond the Truth.
All right, that's yours. Make sure that you send me your address, too. Sammy is one heck of a person. Okay. You're local here in Arkansas, which I got to admit that I want to say give a big shout-out to Cody out there, too, that I don't push the local scene enough here, and I probably should, but I'm glad that you found the show because you're an awesome person and have a very good heart. And I remember, you sending me a message about a little girl that needed help, and I wanted to share it. I was like, this is terrible. And Sammy's trying to help this little girl, and I wanted to send the message all over social media, but no one told you how to help the girl, and you were so frustrated about it, and that says a lot about you. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really love your program, and I'm going to do everything I can to support you, and just keep it up because I really like tonight's show. You hit the nail on the head with me because I'm a researcher, and I do a lot of investigating, and I have most of my life, so that was pretty cool. And if I can get my hands on that document or the location of it again, I'll let you know so you can let him know because I know it's out there.
So you were the one that you put in the chat room that you had saw a document about alien protocol and that it was real, and you said your computer got fried twice. Well, so you don't remember anything about it?
Well, what happened was I was searching for some answers on some stuff. I have a grandpa who was in Air Force secret stuff, and he used to tell me, all I can tell you is it's nuclear. And later found out nuclear meant ET. So I was trying to get some answers. And in the meantime, when he found out I was trying to get in the Air Force and he kept begging me not to do it, he had what should have been a good surgery, and it ended up killing him. And it was round about the time he was starting to kind of tell me stuff. And he used to giggle about little green men and spacemen when we were kids, and we used to ask him what he would do because he spent a lot of time away in other countries. And so I thought, I had to try and put pieces together myself. And when I came up on this, I had been relentlessly, day after day after day, nailing sites that I could get into to try to find out information, and I came up on this document. And I've read it entirely, and it involved, what they would do to the people to put them in for 2 or 3 weeks. Put
them in what?
Isolation.
This is what you read?
Yes, and this document was written in the 40s. Then it was revised in the 70s. I don't know if it was 77, somewhere around there. Could have been 72. I don't remember. But I read it, and I thought, oh, so I tried to save it because I was going to print the stuff off. Well, my computer got fried.
And
then
how long
I
ago was
spent
this?
another week or two, about 12 years ago.
Oh, God, you had to have been using those floppy disks, right, Eric? Isn't that what they had, those fat floppy disks or whatever?
Oh, God, when I started college, that was the thing. They had just gotten the latest, greatest technology, which was the 3-inch, the little plastic cartridge style, not zip drive, but the little flat 3.5 or 3x3s. And that was the thing. Everybody had a card catalog full of them for our classes. Now, it's cloud or, it's nothing like it,
Well, I
see some of the storage devices now and think, holy crap.
I want to hear more about this, Amy. Can you email me that? We got to go into break, but could you email me something about that? Just anything that you remember?
Oh, sure.
Wow, okay. That'd be great. And I will send this book to you. Send me your address. Thank you so much for calling the program. I really appreciate it, Sammy.
You have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, guys, we're going to take a break here, and we'll be right back. You guys don't go anywhere. We got to take our break, right? I mean, this is the last break of the show. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Lighting the Void. Stick around.
FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. After just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Tired of talking about the weather? No, Shift. Well, Shift Happens is here to fulfill your desires as you reach that point in life where you crave tantalizing conversation about reality, ufology, the occult, and the conspiracies within, while simultaneously finding yourself desperately in need of your very own theme music, which we've got plenty of that too. So be sure to tune in to Shift Happens every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on the Fringe FM. Because the weather sucks, and you need some theme music.
You've probably heard about all the great benefits of goat milk soap, but did you know some companies take shortcuts? At Old New England Soap, we make our organic goat's milk soap using 36% goat's milk. That's 17% more than most others. Our bars are larger, so they last longer, producing lots of lather packed with vitamins. And our soap is a natural moisturizer that smooths dry and damaged skin. Order online at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. You've tried the rest. Now try the best. oldnesoap.com.
Water-based soaps on supermarket shelves use harsh chemical acids to break down dead skin cells, and that's just not good for you. At Old New England Soap, our soaps are made without chemical ingredients, contain no alcohol or petroleum products, and use 85% organic materials and carry the USDA's organic certification. Try some today. Go to oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. oldnesoap.com.
Don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead. And listen to Shift Happens on The Fringe FM. Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Cortana out. Quack.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
The Fringe FM.
One 1-800-588-0335 is the calling number. 1-800-588-0335. Make sure that if, keep that call to listen line handy too if you run out of data, because a lot of people do use TalkStream Live to listen to the show. We're here with my partner in crime on the network, Eric Markham, and we also have a caller. I believe it is Agnome from the chat room. Thank you for calling in, brother. What's on your mind?
What's up, man? I just wanted to call and congratulate you on the new format and everything. Dude, it sounds great, and this was a great show to kick it off with. This was awesome.
Well, I wanted to kick it off with somebody that was, there's a lot of truth seekers out there. Hell, I'm one. I know you're one. I know the listeners one. Eric's one. But, I wanted to set some marks. So I figured the last show of the first season, I'd set it with Tim Doyle, and then the kickoff of the new show launch, which is 4 nights a week now. I really wanted to do that and kick it off with somebody like that. So I got lucky, I to be honest with you, when I asked John, I didn't expect, because it's hard to get guests, to be honest with you, this late, but I didn't expect he would say yes right off the bat. And he's such a cool guy, and he's very resourceful, and he's even helping me out with tech stuff. So not to mention his new radio show is out now too, so you guys should check that out. But I'm glad you called in. I don't know if I've ever actually talked to you on the air, man. Is this your first time calling the show?
Yeah, this is my first time calling the show. I've talked to you on Discord before, but I've never called the show.
Now, that Discord chat room is meant for links, and, I guess I wanted it to be one of those fancy chat rooms, but it's really a cool place to drop links and pictures and stuff. And by the way, since you did call in, I got a couple of books here left, brother. I've got The Emperor's Stargate, Success on All Levels, by Alexandra Harteam. That's got to be a fake name, right? And then I got Beyond the Source by Guy Stevens Needler. Now, these are all brand new books. I'm not going to lie to you. I've thumbed through them, but there's no sticky on them. There's no nasty fingerprints or, peanut butter and jelly of my thumbprint or anything like that. So which one do you want, man? Beyond the Source or the Stargate one? Come on, be decisive now. Tell me what you want.
Flip a coin and pick one for me.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll give you Beyond the Source. And we'll leave the Stargate for whoever calls in next. So,
right on.
Do you got some type of fascination with gnomes? I know on Spaced Out Radio you're the gnome guy there. You talk about gnomes a lot. Have you had a gnome experience or something, or what's the deal with that?
I have not. It's just one of those things I like to tease Dave about. That's about it.
Yeah, because he's so freaked out about gnomes or whatever. Well, I mean,
he has got me interested in it, where I've actually done some research on them, and they actually seem like cool little dudes. I don't understand the fear of them, but to each their own, I guess.
I want to make something real clear here, too, and just get this out of the way. I don't know if I've done it already, but I got several messages when I left Spaced Out Radio and when Spaced Out Radio left the Fringe FM. So let me clear the air and tell you that all it was is we both have different ideas and directions, and we've made our peace. And I consider him still a good friend, and I wouldn't put it no more than that. So I know that some people are saying some bad, nasty things about Eric, and but you know what? Eric's a man. He can handle it, and we're going to just press on from here. The big thing is get the van with the sat. That's all I want, Eric. If you can get me a van with a satellite on top of it, I'll love you forever.
Well, what kind of dish does it need?
I'm just playing, bro.
No, I can actually. I've got a couple dishes up on top of the roof that aren't hooked to anything. I'll bring them down and bondo it to the roof. You'll have your dish.
But I do want to say I appreciate you listening, Agnome. I know I think it's cool. What I think we're doing is we're just giving people another choice. That's what we're doing for late night radio. So now every night a week you've got another choice, and that's a cool thing to me because I think people like choices. And I appreciate you listening. I do appreciate you calling into the show, man. Thank you.
I appreciate your show, and I appreciate the information that you're getting out there. You know, you're doing a great job. You know, keep it up, man.
Well, we're going to talk Bigfoot tomorrow night with Thomas Seawood. Thanks for your call. Hope you can check that out too, man.
Yeah, definitely will.
All right, brother. I'll be send me your address, and I'll send that book to you. Thanks for calling. All right, let's see. 570 area code. You're on the air. 570 area code. You are on the air. Who are we speaking with?
It's breaking up.
Hey, what's up, Rich? Is this Rich?
No, this is the other East Coaster.
Oh, what's up? Is this Dan? You guys sound the same.
That's what I'm saying. We're both from New York, so what can I say?
The Reverend Dan Lopez. Ladies and gentlemen, from Spiritual Warrior Today Radio. Thanks for calling in, brother.
No problem. I just wanted to publicly congratulate you on your new format and everything like that, and wish you the best of luck in all of this, and let you know that, you know, I'm totally on board with whatever we were talking about the other night, and you know what it was, and so any way I can help, we'll be doing that. It's good to hear you out there again, Preach.
It is breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I heard Preach. I heard that part.
Got there.
He blew into the phone. That's the old school right there. Just blow on it and fix it, right? Now it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like he does sound like you. Rich is like, he sounds like me. I think he's saying hi to you, Preach. He hadn't heard from you in a long time.
Well, I've been getting ready to go out to Washington for a hand-fasting ceremony and a Bigfoot expedition. And I've been working ungodly as much overtime as I can. I'm actually working tonight, so to prepare for it. So I've been a little hard to get on the phone or on the radio. I managed to get on for the anniversary show with FMP early Sunday morning. So.
Oh, nice.
So do you want this last book, The Emperor's Stargate? Dan, do you want it?
Yeah, sure. Why not? You got my digits.
There might be a thumbprint on this one. A little bit of jelly, possibly.
You just got to mark out where your DNA is, so this way I can clone your butt.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt you were doing that, man. But thanks for calling in and your congratulations. That does mean a lot, and we'll definitely do some work together.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We got to figure out how to get you that van.
We're gonna get a van. I need a chair, guys. If you want to donate a chair right now, my rear is killing me. I need a chair and a catheter.
You need a chair
first.
more than the van?
Yeah, for sure. I'll get a chair. Like Agnome said, he goes to a yard sale, but I'm not going to buy a used catheter, but I do need a catheter as well because I don't get to get up very much.
As long as you don't need a bag, bro.
You could park Leo's litter box. Never mind. We won't go there.
Thanks for calling, brother. That means a lot. Well,
that's awesome, dude. Well, the best of everybody out there who says hello and everything like that. They're just great people out there, and we could chat. And like I said, I just wanted to give you a heavy congrats. And, you know, we talk a lot offline, so God bless, brother.
Thanks. I appreciate it, man. God bless you, too. Talk to you soon.
You got it, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, the Reverend Dan Lopez and I have had some many great shows late at night. But, all the books are gone. But if you still want to call in, it's 1-800-588-0335. We've got an actual call queue in there, and no one's going to get hung up on, so that's kind of worth it. I think I got enough minutes now. But Eric, I am curious. Like right now, you're working in the lab. You're like, I wish I could call you Madman Markham, but that one's already been given away.
Yeah, I know. It's we've been trying to come up with one other than Preacher, which it doesn't really work anymore. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm sure the appropriate nickname will come up in time. I might even take the derogatory one that was slung at me in a chat room just to show it doesn't bother me.
The thing that I didn't get to talk about tonight, and I did a little bit, but I wanted to go down this road a little bit more, Eric, was the Stargate program, the remote viewing projects that they did. They admit it in their conclusions. I mean, their report here has, it looks like it's been laid out scientifically. Here's the hypothesis, here's what we did, here's the variables, and here's the conclusions. And it says the foregoing operations provide a compelling argument against continuation of the program with the intelligence community. Even though a statistically significant effect has been observed in the laboratory, it remains unclear whether the existence of a paranormal phenomena, remote viewing, have been demonstrated. The laboratory studies do not provide evidence regarding the origins or nature of the phenomena, assuming it exists, nor do they address the important methodological issue of inter-judge reliability. What does that mean? That's the only thing I don't understand, Eric. Inter-judge reliability.
Inter-judge reliability.
You're the scientist, so I'm asking here.
Well, I've never heard it quite put like that. It seems to be more of in lieu of having a governing body or some kind of review board, like another scientific document would have, they kept it all internal because obviously it was a classified project. They didn't want to send it to American psychology or, they wanted to keep it internal.
Gotcha.
So instead of a review board, the judge must represent their own internal, the interjudge, or somebody who was personally I forgot what they called the guys.
Even if it could be demonstrated unequivocally that a paranormal phenomena occurs under the conditions present in the laboratory paradigm. It's funny how they put that word in there. These conditions have limited applicability and, utility, and that's a weird word, for intelligence gathering operations. For example, the nature of remote viewing targets are vastly dissimilar, as are specific tasks required of the remote viewers. Most importantly, the information provided by the remote viewing is vague and ambiguous, making it difficult, if not impossible, for the technique to yield information of sufficient quality and accuracy for actionable intelligence. Thus, we could not conclude that continued use of remote viewing in intelligence gathering operations is warranted. So, in the beginning, they're saying that there were the existence of effects, a significant effect has been observed, but not enough information that it's warranted. Now, wouldn't you think that if they saw a significant effect, and I'm just asking you as a scientist here, in the laboratory studying variable subjects in remote viewing, that you would continue the study? Even if you had just a little bit of money, wouldn't you think that was a big deal?
Well, I'm sure they did. Plus, at the same time, the Russians were saying they could, kill somebody with thoughts, kind of like the men who stare at goats, though that was a fictionalized account of a true program. So we were in the Cold War, we were in the Space War, and we were in the Intel War, and this was part of the sign of the times. But one of the things to remember is they actually used remote viewing in that program to find a hostage, and they also recovered a missing nuclear bomb in the Mediterranean Ocean using the remote viewing. Now, if anybody thinks that something that had that kind of success was dropped, I got a bridge in Brooklyn, I'll sell you. I mean, I think what they did, that whole report was a cover. I've never believed that they actually, I think it went black budget. Before that, it was classified, but I have a feeling once there was some success, it went right into, wherever, the dark stuff ends up. I'm sure that they're still training and they're still using it. It just seems like there's been a few things that have happened over the last 10, 20 years that, how did they get that information?
Well, let's
and
mention
I'm not
this
believing
real quick.
it's all satellites.
It is required to be in my super inner circle of friends to read, preferably listen to on Audible, using audibletrial.com/LTV radio. But anyways, to listen to or read Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe. Now, did he or did he not conduct his experiments in astral travel, in your opinion, now that I know that you've read the book, scientifically?
What he documents, yeah. I mean, he was hooked up to electroencephalograms. Make sure I didn't get the wrong one in there. I mean, yeah, as he had it under as strict scientific controls as he could have. I mean, he proved there was a phenomena. There was one of the more famous, one of the things that stands out in my mind, the experiment where he got out of body, went into the hallway, and the technician that was supposed to be monitoring the screen was out in the hallway talking to her husband. And then he comes back, and finally, she wasn't supposed to be out in the hallway talking to her husband, so that was not something he would have expected. He didn't even know, I think he said he didn't even know she was married until that moment where she says, or she confesses. And she actually documents that this happened, as well as there were changes, noticeable documented changes in his brain activity during the period in which he reported that experience. So for me, hearsay aside, if he's got that data and he could reproduce it, I mean, that's pretty much the heart of scientific method. He did his experiment and he could reproduce his results. Granted, he couldn't do it every time. Okay. But now you're looking at a phenomenon that can't really, we don't understand, and by his own admission, he couldn't control it fully.
Right, but he did see things that were actually, I'm speculating again. Based on his scientific experiments that he did in that book, he did see things in this realm, although they appeared to be different. What actually happened in real time in this physical realm and the realm he was in were similar. Would you say that?
Oh, yeah. He had where he dropped in on the friend. What's that? Actually, he had a friend right here in Winston-Salem that he would drop in on. And it was one morning, they're all sitting around their table at breakfast, and it was a late breakfast, so the wife, the guy's wife, was passing the mail out to the people at the table. Now, he interpreted that as the family sitting around the table playing cards with oversized playing cards.
Right.
Well, that's real close. There does seem to be a difference in perception when you're in the astral or having the out-of-body experience. Whether it's because everything is so different, your brain just doesn't know how to assimilate the data it's getting, because...
Well, what I believe
but that was so close.
Yeah, it is, and it's garbled. So they're seeing the same things, but it's almost like the brain, in my opinion, is causing it to interpret it different. But the biggest thing here is that this man had what I called an etheric out-of-body projection, and went to another place where something was happening, and then on multiple occasions verified the things that he saw that was happening, and then later interacted with the physical realm by pinching someone, and then later verified that that also happened.
Yep.
Now, if that doesn't make your head explode, I don't know what would.
Well, just the idea that he could, in an etheric body, somehow managed to pinch somebody. I mean, that in its own right, that's a whole nother realm to research. And that also kind of validates to me the people who have ghostly, they get scratched by a ghost.
There you go. That's where
this ties together. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of what Robert Monroe did backed up things that I know you and I have read, because a lot of the books you've read, you've recommended to me, so we've got this common background. But he discovered scientifically some of the things that have been passed down through ancient knowledge, or just even hearsay at some points. He validated some of that old information, some of that old knowledge, and he did it scientifically. So that, to me, that just strengthens my belief in the esoteric.
Well, he also quoted in the end, which really got me thinking, and I was going to ask John about it, but, John's one of those guys that doesn't like to speculate too much if he can't verify something, which I appreciate so much. I wish the political shows would be that way and politics would be that way, but they're not. But anyways, that in the book, Robert Monroe stated that if this just happened to me randomly, I wasn't trying to do this, it just happened. I'm capable of moving in this realm. I'm capable of seeing what's happening in this realm while people are asleep, or whatever. They don't even know I'm here. And I've also figured out that I can physically affect the physical realm, like that guy on Ghost. You remember that movie, right, Eric? From your gut!
Right.
Trying to teach Patrick Swayze how to do it. It was funny. Anyways.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite character actors, Vincent Schiavelli, if I recall.
Yeah, his last question was, though, if I can do this, who else knows about this? Who else is doing this? Does the government know about this? Isn't it kind of freaky to think about that there are people out there that can leave the body and also go into these realms and do certain things? Now, here's why I'm bringing this up, guys. Where the show is going, it's not just going to be about conspiracy and UFOs. One of my favorite subjects to talk about. But you guys also know that I talk about the esoteric and magic and consciousness quite a bit. Magicians have been going into the astral realm for a very, very long time and manipulating things. And I know you're thinking black magic, but not always the case. And I even heard Robert Bruce on another radio show talking about banishing rituals that he was doing to protect himself. So the astral travelers of today, all of them, are just now starting to discover what the magicians have been doing all along in these astral realms. But I still question if the government's there. And we got to wrap this up, but I hope you guys kind of see one of the biggest topics we're going to be talking about on the show with guests and stuff, and the road we're going to go down there. Is it a little bit dangerous? Nah, I don't think so. But I think it's important to know, and it's important to talk about. Eric, man, thank you so much for coming on the show the third hour. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being a part
Always
of the
a pleasure.
team. I can't wait.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
We're gonna be creative, guys. I mean, tonight's show is a format, but we're gonna change things up. We're gonna mix it up. Your feedback and your support is very precious to us. Thank you all so much for listening to the show. I really appreciate it. It was the launch. I was extremely nervous. I threw up for the first time. I know that's gross, but I don't know. I don't know why, but I'm happy about it. I'm happy about tonight, and I hope that we'll do you some justice in the future. But, yeah, thank you so much for the callers. You guys make sure you send me your emails, and you can email me, at contact@lightingthevoid.com, or message me on Facebook with your addresses so I can get you those books out. And we're going to wrap it up here, but we're going to be back same time tomorrow night We're going to be talking Bigfoot with Thomas Seawood, and we're going to go down that rabbit hole. See you guys tomorrow night. Thank you so much. Good night.